expensive hotel in Changcheng. A woman's voice from a car in front of the hotel asks Chu Chen if he remembered what she said. Chu Chen, son-in-law of the Song family, a man with a medallion on his chest, puts his hand on the back of his head and uncertainly says that he remembers, and then asks what she said. A girl in a pink dress sits behind the wheel and says that they have been married for 5 years, and then adds that he must remember that today at his birthday party he will be in a very dangerous situation. Song Yan, Miss from the Song family. The girl straightens her hair and tells the man that she will give him some money and he will have to leave Changcheng. Chu Chen fell asleep and snored. Song Ruhai, the Song family's butler, opens the door of Song Yan's car. He tells his mistress that the owner has been waiting for her for a long time. The girl says that let her husband sleep here for now. Journalists film the girl with cameras. One of them calls the third daughter of the Song family a beauty. Another says that the little-known Ms. Song Yan invited celebrities from all walks of life to her birthday party. Another journalist says he feels something big is going to happen today. The man with brown hair looks at Chu Chen and asks who the guy in Song's car is. The man with long hair replies that this is Ms. Song Yan's husband and he is stupid. A man with brown hair asks if he has been married to Ms. Song Yan for 5 years. A man with long hair confirms his interlocutor's words and says that he doesn't know why they are still together. Chu Chen opened his mouth wide. One of the observers calls the main character a fairy flower that fell on cow dung. The main character's green medallion is shrouded in purple energy. In the luxurious corridor, a voice is heard coming from the hotel door. Someone laughs and says that their family has had a hard time in the last 5 years. Song Ziyang, head of the Song family. He holds a glass of wine in his hands and says that it's good that stupid Chu Chen has great luck. Taoist Zhang Yunguo approaches the table where Song Yan and Song Ziyang are sitting and says that thanks to this luck, the Song family was able to rise from the dead in these 5 years. The girl looks at the floor in thought. The Taoist adds that as soon as the hour of darkness comes today, Chu Chen's luck will run out, and when it runs out, their marriage will come to an end. The head of the family, with a smile on his face, apologizes to Song Yan for these 5 years and says that soon she will no longer have to be with this stupid guy. The girl asks her father why he is making such a big deal out of a mountain, because they could just let Chu Chen go. The father replies that he is doing this for her good. Song Ziyang crossed his arms and said that everyone knows that Song has had a son-in-law for 5 years and today she must break off her marriage in front of the whole city. And she must also know that the young master Yishea Wang from the imperial court has already liked her. The girl imagines a blonde man with a coat with a fur top. The father continues that if they contact one of the largest families in the city in Changcheng, then their family will become successful in an instant. The girl thought that we were talking about the senior master of the Imperial Court Enterprise Yishea Wang. The man gets out of the car and stands on the red rug. Some observers are calling for the young master from the Imperial Court to be allowed to pass. Yishea Wang walks down the red carpet. Many girls admire the young master. One of the girls calls him the pride of the business community. Another girl calls him handsome and the son of a great family. Another girl says that it would be better if Song Yan married the young master. Yishea Wang asks manager Pang who is in the car. He tells him that this is the son-in-law of the Song family, Chu Chen. The guards touch the sleeping man and call him to wake up. The man is pushed away and is now lying on the seat. The guards laugh loudly with their eyes closed. One of them says that even pigs don't sleep so soundly. Another says that this stupid guy sleeps like a dead pig. Chu Chen is lying on the seat with a blue glow next to him. Yishea Wang says that he is sorry because he wanted to talk to this stupid person. Half of the medallion flies into the back of the young master's head. The man in the car with the other half of the medallion around his neck says his name is Chu Chen. He concentrates blue energy in his left hand and asks what he can do for him. The blonde turns his gaze back. Manager Pang asks how the main character dared to throw something at the gentleman. Yishea Wang stops his subordinate and says that he shouldn't. He says with a malicious smile that he heard that he hasn't spoken a word since he became a member of the Song family. He adds that this is a good joke and laughs. The blonde puts his foot on the car where Chu Chen is sitting and tells him that since he is so pathetic, he will tell him what he does not understand. Yishea Wang says that tonight his status as the son-in-law of the Song family will end, and his famous woman will become his woman. The blonde smiles evilly and asks the main character whether he understands his speech or is completely stupid. He turns back. Pang tells the blonde to ignore the fool. The main character with a menacing expression on his face asks if he is stupid. He thought that 5 years ago he studied the art of magic and previously believed that he could become famous for his abilities. The main character remembers how he fought using magic. He thinks he didn't realize that when he was studying the soul suppressor, it accidentally went out of control and locked away his souls and power. At this time, he was hit by Song Yan's car and ended up in the Song family. A girl with pink hair approaches the lying Chu Chen. He lived like this for 5 years, and after 5 years today he will be abandoned and he will become a laughing stock for the whole city. The main character gets out of the car and closes its door. He thought that despite the fact that everyone has long wanted to kick him out, it seems to him that Song Yan is the only one who does not want to give up on him. The girl follows her father along with the main character and shouts that such an innocent person as Chu Chen should not participate in the quarrel of a large family. The main character thought that he got such a good wife just like that. He remembers how his wife protected him. The main character clenches his hand into a fist and thinks that since she silently protected him for 5 years, now it is his turn to protect her. Someone calls the main character stupid and asks if he heard his name, and then adds if he doesn't know that today he is the main star. The main character looks at this man. This is a man with ear piercings named Song Qingpeng, Song Yan's cousin. A girl with pink hair is pressed against him. The man says that the main character suddenly disappeared and they are looking for him everywhere. The girl closes her mouth and says that this is the stupid one and he has a pitiful face. The main character looks at them angrily. He thought that for 5 years, no one from the Song family took him seriously. Song Qingpeng even secretly inflicted all kinds of violence on the main character. Chu Chen remembers how 2 bullies beat him up and one of them said that he was a great punching bag. Song Qingpeng calls the main character and spits into the glass. He raises his glass up and tells the main character to give them a show and drink this glass, and as a reward he will not break it today. The main character takes a glass and asks if it's really possible, and the man in front of him says yes and urges the guy. Chu Chen holds a glass. People nearby call the main character stupid and think that he made them laugh. Song Qingpeng smiles and wonders why he couldn't come up with such a funny way to humiliate him before. The main character grabs the man by the face and invites him to go downstairs since he wants to drink. He holds Song Qingpeng by the throat and pours the contents of the glass into his mouth. People around are in shock. The man finds it difficult to breathe due to the flow of wine. The main character pushes the man away and asks him if he was drunk. One of those present said that the main character took Song Qingpeng's joke seriously. Another man says that stupid people generally lack the ability to understand. A man with piercings spits out wine, calling the name of the main character. He pulls out a knife from behind his back and says that because of the main character, he lost face in front of so many celebrities. He points a knife at the main character and says that he is a corpse. Someone grabs Song Qingpeng's wrist and shouts at him that enough is enough. It was the butler Song Ruhai. He asks what he is going to do in front of so many high-ranking officials of Changcheng City, and whether he really wants to tarnish the reputation of their family. Song Qingpeng says with an angry expression that this guy just publicly humiliated him, and he wanted revenge. The butler tells him in his ear that he shouldn't do this in front of everyone. He adds that the master wants to see him now, and later the butler himself will provide the opportunity for revenge. Song Qingpeng pushes the main character and says that he was wrong. The butler says it's better this way. He turns to Chu Chen and tells him that the master wants to see him. Song Qingpeng smiles evilly and says that today the main character was lucky, but soon they will be even. The main character enters the double doors. The head of the family calls him to sit down at the long table. In addition to the head of the family, sitting at the table are a guy with a tattoo on his arm, a girl in a red jacket, Song Yan, a man with a green bow, and a guy in a green jacket. The main character heads to his seat and thinks that for 5 years he had to stand in the corner and listen to family meetings, and he cannot believe that today he is being treated like this. Song Ziyang announces that since they are all here, they will get down to business. He says that in these 5 years, their Song family has risen from the dead thanks to the protagonist's Kai. But the Taoist master before leaving said that his luck will last until tonight at the most, and for this reason they must immediately separate Song Yan and Chu Chen. Otherwise they are a bad influence. Lin Xinping, the first son-in-law of the Song family, hands the document to the main character and tells him that it is time to sign the document, and then asks him if he can write. Zhu Jian, the second son-in-law of the Song family, says that in his opinion, the main character is now unable to hold a pen. Chu Chen looks at the divorce document and thinks that they are really going to leave their son-in-law. He can't believe that they still think he's stupid. The main character thought that he didn't care what these fools thought and he wasn't going to explain it to them. because in the future he would have many opportunities to punch them in the face. Song Yan sits in a chair opposite the main character. He thought that all he cared about was her. After all, she is the only one who treated him well during these 5 years. Song Yan shouts to the others to stop, because the main character is a normal person with healthy limbs and he is simply mentally disabled. She asks them to respect him. Zhu Jian laughs and tell her okay. The main character, with a smile on his face, thought that if she didn't sign, then neither would he. He looks at Song Yan, who has a slightly sad expression on her face. He thought that if she did sign, then she would not stay here for a minute. The butler tells the head of the family that the third young master from Yancheng has come to talk to them about cooperation. Song Ziyang asks if the third young master of the Xia family from Yancheng is really here. The butler answers yes. He speaks into the ear of the head of the family that the young master has a request, namely, he wants to meet with the most famous son-in-law of the Song family. Lin Xinping gets up from his seat and asks if Mr. Xia asked about him. Zhu Jian tells him that he is only known for selling medicine. The head of the family says that you shouldn't keep the gentleman waiting. The man with the green bow follows Song Ziyang and tells everyone to wait for the moment when they return victorious. Song Q, the only son of Song Ziyang, asks his mother what kind of Xia family his father is talking about and adds that he has never heard of them in Chengcheng. Su Yuexian, the mother of the Song family, tells her son that the Xia family of Yancheng is much more powerful than the Yi family. A man in a white suit sits on a throne surrounded by women. The mother of the family says that currently the Xia family has come to Changcheng City and there are countless people who want to cooperate with it, because if you get close to the Xia family, you can fly to the top of the branch and become a phoenix. And such happiness happens once every 100 years. She tells Song Yan that her elder sister's husband has received such wonderful resources and now it is up to her how she will fight for the Yi family. The main character looks at them and thinks that he didn't expect anything better from the Song family. They are ready to sell their daughter for profit. Voices come from the double doors. The father of the family shouts that they really don't have a son-in-law who beats people in public. Mr. Xia replies that he saw everything. A man in a white suit opens the double doors and, after laughing a little, says what he found. Family members are surprised by what is happening. The mother of the family commands everyone to stand up. Su Yuexian folds his palms and asks with a smile on his face if he is looking for a second son-in-law. The guy in the green jacket introduces himself as Zhu Jian. The mother of the family wonders if Zhu Jian is the son-in-law Xia is looking for. A man in a white suit pushes a guy in a green jacket and tells him to get out of the way. Xia looks at the main character and tells him that he saw him beat up a man in the hall. His name is Xia Bei and he is the third son of the Xia family in Yancheng. He extends his hand and, after introducing himself, tells him that he admires him. He invites the main character to talk to him tomorrow alone. The head of the family and Lin Xinping are shocked. The main character puts his hands on the back of his head and says that he agrees, because he still has nothing to do tomorrow. They shake hands. The main character says that they will talk tomorrow, and the guy in front of him answers that it has been decided. Song Ziyang asks what's going on with his mouth wide open. The mother of the family says that the son-in-law Mr. Xia wanted to meet his Chu Chen. She asks why. He's stupid. Voices are heard from the office. Lin Xinping and Song Ziyang ask what's going on here. The main character adjusts his clothes. Song Ziyang says that Xia saw the main character beat Song Qingpeng in the hall. Song Ziyang says that he thought it was funny to meet such a fool. The father of the family thought that their 5-year success would be ruined if Chu Chen was so stupid that he could offend Xia tomorrow. He closes his eyes and says this is outrageous. He yells at Song Yan and forces her to hurry up and sign the document. The mother of the family holds the girl by the shoulders and tells her that if they sign the contract, their family will get rid of the main character, and even if the Xia family gets angry, they will have less chance of being involved. The girl takes the pen in her hands. Her relatives force her to sign the document. She puts pen to paper and thinks that Chu Chen devoted 5 years to his family, and now they are going to abandon him. The main character carefully watches the girl and assumes that she has chosen a family after all. The girl draws a rough line with a pen. Song Yan gets up from the table and shouts that 5 years have passed and it was thanks to the main character that the Song family rose from the dead. And now they are going to drive him away after using him. She asks how a defective person like him will live. The main character is surprised, opening his eyes wide. The father of the family opened his mouth wide. He called the name Song Yan. The girl cries and says that she doesn't like any Yin. Moreover, she doesn't want to become an instrument for a marriage union. Su Yuexian looks at the girl angrily and calls her name. Song Ziyang slams his palm on the table and calls the girl a rebel and says that she must sign the divorce agreement. Someone tears up their document. The father of the family is shocked. The main character scatters scraps of paper from a divorce document that he tore up. Song Ziyong tells the main character how dare he. He hit the table again and asks the main character how he dared to disrupt the divorce agreement. Lin Xinping shouts that this is outrageous. The main character said that he knows that cooperation with the Xia family is important for them, but Mr. Xia only wants to talk about cooperation with him. Chu Chen closes his eyes and says that's why he hopes they will respect Song Yan's opinion, otherwise they won't like what he says to Mr. Xia tomorrow. He opened his eyes with a smug smile on his face. The main character says that if something happens, he will take the blame and will not drag the Song family into it. The head of the family, with sweat on his face, asks the main character if he is threatening him. He wondered why this fool suddenly spoke clearly. Lin Xinping behind the main character asks him who he thinks he is and if he gets into trouble tomorrow, who will be responsible for it. Mr. Xia says he will resolve this issue. Zhu Jiang, Song Ziyong and Su Yuexian turn to look at Mr. Yi Xiaowang. He tells them not to worry with a smile on his face, because even if Chu Chen makes trouble tomorrow, he can prove that the Song family has nothing to do with him. 5 minutes pass. Lin Xinping throws up his hands and asks if he really will allow the main character to meet Mr. Xia. The father of the family asks what else they can do. He says that this is the will of Mr. Yi Xiaowang and remembers how he said that their family agreed to cooperate in the matter of the meeting, and the fact that he was looking for Chu Chen is just a drunken joke by Mr. Xia. A blonde man in a black jacket sits at the table next to Song Yan and thinks that she is still a little hesitant, and why don't they do as she says? He thought about giving Chu Chen a day of time and competing fairly. He adds that we will see which of the two can withstand cooperation with the Xia family. Yi Xiaowang says that he wants Chu Chen to lose convincingly. The father of the Song family thought that this would show Song Yanyi's strength and she might come to her senses. Song Ziyong whispers to the butler to make sure that someone sends the main character back to his usual state. The butler replies that he understands. Song Yan thanks the main character for saving her. She thought that he was not stupid. He took the whole blow on himself for her sake. He tells the girl that he owes her. Song Ruhai tells Song Yan that it's late and they need to go home. Voices are heard from the room in the corridor. The butler tells the main character to go back and rest. The girl tells the butler to take care of Chu Chen. The girl in the women's restroom says that the stupid main character beat Song Qingpeng in public today. The girl with blue hair puts on lipstick and says that Song Qingpeng wanted to fight back, but the butler stopped him. A girl with red hair uses powder and replies that it's a pity that they missed such a spectacle. The girl with blue hair says that it's not scary, because she saw how he called a group of people and it seems that all is not lost. Song Yan heard what these two girls were saying and thought that Song Qingpeng was going to take revenge on the main character. The girl calls the butler Song Ruhai. Someone opens the double doors. The butler puts the phone to his ear. Song Yan asks if Chu Sen is at home and if Song Qingpeng is nearby. The butler replies that they are just going to the parking lot and asks why she is asking about Song Qingpeng. A drop of sweat runs down the girl's face. She says that she heard how the butler did not allow the offender to beat the main character, but she is afraid that he will try to take revenge. The butler tells his mistress not to worry. The butler and the main character approach the parking lot. Song Ruhai says that he will send the main character home safe and sound. He adds that it is his duty. The main character and the butler head towards the two villains. One of them with a trumpet says that the son-in-law is here. The girl thanks the butler, and he says that there is nothing and says goodbye. The butler approaches Song Qingpeng and says that he will find an opportunity for revenge. The cousin from the Song family, surrounded by scoundrels, put the trumpet on his shoulder and told the butler that he owed him, and then that he needed to wait outside for a while. The butler leaves and closes the door behind him. The butler thought that under the chief's orders, he could use any method to get rid of Chu Chen. Song Qingpeng slaps the trumpet on his hand and addresses the main character. He takes the pipe in both hands and with an angry expression on his face says that today he humiliated him in public, and now he will make his place clear. He swings the pipe to attack. The shadow from the pipe falls on the face of the main character. The butler eavesdrops on what is happening behind the door. He opened the door and said that you need to break your legs without hurting your face. He thought that the head would still need him to work on his face. The butler asks why it's so quiet. The beaten scoundrels lie on the ground covered in blood. Song Ruhai is shocked, a bead of sweat running down his face. Well-lit hotel corridor. The main character says that he finally used the skills of the 9 Xuan clan for the first time after descending from the mountain. Chu Chen stretches his hand and says that it's a pity that he has to deal with such garbage. Someone asks Pang's manager that the fun hasn't even started yet. The main character turns his attention to the source of the voice. A muscular man named Rong Dong, the malt master of the Rong group, is accompanied by his subordinates and manager Pang. Rong Dong says that he brought them here because he heard from brother Yi Xiaowang that there will be an interesting show today. The manager replies that he heard that today the Song family is going to kick out this stupid son-in-law, and then send Madame Song to bed with brother Yi Xiaowang. The bald man in the kimono says he believes Song Yan is still chaste. The muscular man laughs and says that he will have to ask brother Yi Xiaowang to put in more effort. The people behind the main character are surprised when they look at this crowd of people. The main character calls these people mongrels and asks what they are barking about. With a grim expression, he tells them to apologize to his wife. A bald man asks the main character who he is. Rong Dong holds the guy in kimono by the shoulder and tells him that remember this guy. He laughs along with his subordinates and says that this is the same stupid son-in-law. He points his finger at the main character's chest and calling him stupid, asks if he knows that he is about to be beaten and adds that his brother Yi Xiaowang will take Song Yan. The main character punches a muscular man in the face. A defeated enemy lies on the ground. The main character said that he said to apologize. Manager Pang and the villains are shocked that the main character defeated Rong Dong. A muscular man sits down and tells the main character how dare he hit him. He covers his bloody mouth. With a menacing look, he asks the main character if he wants to die. The manager grabs his head with both hands and thinks that it's all over, because this stupid guy dared to hit Rong Dong. He adds that the Rong group is one of the most low-key groups in Changcheng, and their leader originally owned a boxing gym. A muscular man raises his fist and thought that the main character was afraid. A bald guy in a kimono shouts to his boss to show his boxing skills and beat the main character. The fist almost reaches Chu Chen's face. The main character kicked his attacker before he could hit. The villains and the manager are shocked. The boss holds onto the place where he was hit and asks his subordinates if they were stunned. He turns around with a menacing face and commands to attack. The villains attack the main character with bats and brass knuckles in their hands. Rong Dong shouts at them to kill the main character. The butler's voice comes from the double doors, calling Song Qingpeng by name. He holds him by the shoulders and asks who beat them like that. Song Jinping holds his head with his hand and says that this is Chu Chen. The butler asks if he was able to defeat them. The beaten man replied that he did not know. He said that he remembers how they all attacked Chu Chen. Many villains jump on the main character. Song Qingpeng adds that the main character seemed to use some kind of black magic. The main character calls his enemies to him with a smile. The protagonist utters the words, sheer technique. The attack direction of the bald man in a kimono suddenly changes to Rong Dong. The Song family's beaten cousin says that the protagonist somehow made them all attack each other. The butler and Song Jinping heard a sound coming from the double doors. The wounded boss of the scoundrels asks his subordinates why they attacked him and says that he will kill them all. The hooligans are shocked. The man in the kimono wonders why this happened. The main character steps on Rong Dong. With a grim look, he tells the others not to approach, otherwise he doesn't know how many more bones their boss will have broken. The muscular man under his foot says that he is a young master from the Rong family and if the protagonist treats him like this, he will do something. The main character interrupts him. He leans over the offender and says that he doesn't care who he is and just wants an apology to his wife. The boss of the hooligans gritted his teeth and thought that this was Mr. Yi Xiaowang's territory and it was surrounded by his people. He doesn't understand how he can be knocked down by this fool. He imagines the huge Chu Chen looking at him angrily with red eyes. The main character says that it looks like he needs to press harder. Rong Dong is shaking with fear. He opens his mouth wide and apologizes to Ms. Song Yan. Pang and the bald man look at the main character in fear. The main character removes his foot from his back and says that's very good. The manager thought that it was all over and that today would not be forgotten for a long time. Song Ziyang loudly calls the main character's name. He came with the butler and Mr. Yi Xiaowang and asked what the main character was doing here, remembering that he told him to go home. Yi Xiaowang puts his hand on manager Pang's shoulder and asks what happened. Pang says that Rong Dong inquired about the identity of the main character and then was beaten without a word. He looks at the main character and thinks about how he was able to win and wonders if there is some kind of power in their family that protects him. The young master crossed his arms and said that the father of the Song family does not seem to care about his family. He adds the father of the Song family knows very well that at the moment, the most important direction for his family is three-way cooperation, and if the Yi Xiaowang family is removed, then the third party can only be the Rong group. Song Ziyang looks scared. Lee Wang puts his hand on the shoulder of the father of the family and says that now that his son-in-law has made a fuss, the wrong group will never have the courage to cooperate again. The father of the Song family thought that the Taoist master was telling the truth. Chu Chen's luck had run out. He looks at the main character adjusting his jacket and thinks that he has begun to annoy the Song family. Song Ziyang tells young Master Rong that he apologizes on behalf of the Song family, and if he needs any compensation, then they are completely sincere. Rong Dong leans on Pang's shoulder and turns his gaze to the father of the family. He says that he will not allow himself the sincerity of the Song family. The muscular man tells the main character that he doesn't care who protects him, but if he returns home safe and sound today, he will change his name backwards. The main character looks arrogantly at the beaten man, and the father of the Song family is surprised. Song Yan stands behind the main character and thinks what Chu Chen did to Rong Dong. She thought he had gone home, but notices that he is in trouble again. Lee Wang smiles evilly and thinks that from now on, without his help, there will be a person in Chengcheng who will want him dead at any moment. He spreads his hands and tells Rong Dong that after all, they are three partners and there is no need for them to break the ice over a trifle. The boss of the hooligans tried to answer him something about a trifle, but he was interrupted. Lee Wang looks at the father of the Song family and says that since the birthday banquet has become so noisy, why don't he go back first? He adds that as for who to take with him, he himself must understand. Song Ziyang with a smile on his face says that he understood everything. The father of the family raises his hand and says that everything is fine and they can go, but there is not enough space in the car. He tells Chu Chen to take a taxi. Song Yan is shocked and a bead of sweat appears on her face. She tells her father that if he now lets the main character go alone, then this will be the same as taking his life. Song Ziyang asks Song Yan what she is talking about and adds that he is just letting him go home. He says that he is giving him one more day to become a member of the Song family. He says with a gloomy expression that if Chu Chen can safely get to the meeting place, he will personally come out to meet him and give him a reception. Lin Xinping says that if it weren't for Mr. Lee Wang's leniency, Chu Chen would not have had this chance. He says how about this option, if the main character gets home, he himself will pour him tea. The girl is trembling with fear for her husband. Rong Dong claps his hands and agrees with what was said. He adds that he didn't expect the Song family to be so sincere, and in that case, he agrees to continue this three-way cooperation. Lee Wang tells the father of the family that tomorrow he will come to the Song family and take Ms. Song Yan with him to the Zia family to discuss cooperation, and after that, he will let the lady take on some of the cooperation responsibilities. The father of the Song family thanks his interlocutor. Lin Xinping tells the main character that it is time for him to go home and believes that this is their last meeting. He leaves with the rest of the family and says that perhaps his last success is to persuade Mr. Lee Wang to finish everything quickly. He asks the main character to remember to write him a message when he has little money to burn some for him. Song Yan looks at the floor and trembles. The girl takes the main character by the hand and shouts to him, Chu Chen, let's go. The girl leads the main character and says that while they have not signed a divorce agreement, they are still married to him. She adds that she will not allow them anything like that. The father of the family shouts the girl's name, but Lee Wang puts his hand in front of him and says that everything is fine. The young master with a gloomy face says that he simply loves to watch his prey try to resist until he is gone. The car is driving along the road. Song Yan asks his brother why he is here. He replies with an angry expression that this happened against his will, because Dad asked him to protect her because of what was happening around Chu Chen. Song Yan with a sad expression says that the main character has angered Rong Dong and is most likely already being persecuted. Song Q asks the main character why he did this. The main character looks out the window and replies that he opened his stinking mouth in the wrong direction. Brother Song Yan replies to the main character that he is stupid and asks why he didn't hit him, because he also made fun of him for 5 years. The main character responded by lying about how he couldn't win. Song Q replies that it is good that the main character understands this. He bends his fingers and says that going out into people is strength and adds that there is no point in being stupid and strong without power, because these are 3 things that depend on each other. Song Yan tells the main character that she will take him out of the city later. Their car is being chased by 2 more cars. The girl tells the main character that from now on he must be honest with her. Their car is rammed from behind. The girl was scared, but the main character sat calmly. Song Q firmly grasped the steering wheel of the car. Song Yan screams at his brother to get away and leave the city. The main character places his hand on the seat in front of him and tells Song Q to let him out of the car. The main character with a serious expression on his face says that while he is inside, they pose a threat. He says that if he gets out of the car, Song-kyu will be safe. The girl asks the main character if he has gone crazy, because they will kill him as soon as he gets out. The girl was pinned to the seat due to the sudden stop. The car stopped abruptly after making a U-turn. The main character slammed the door and tells Song-kyu to protect his sister because he is a great driver. He adds that they should remember to make the bullies pay for the car. The girl asks what the main character is talking about and asks him to come back. 5 cars stop near them. The boss of the hooligans suggests that this fool decided to leave his wife and run away. Rongdong points the bat towards the protagonist and commands the bullies to bring the protagonist to him. Standing behind him is Wang. The boss of the hooligans with a crazy expression on his face shouts that he himself must kill him. He shouts to catch him and drag him here. Song-yeon touches the car window and shouts that they all went after Chu Chen. She turns to her brother and tells him to let him out because she wants to talk to Wang. He replies that he won't let her out because he is here to protect her. He adds that this is not necessary because the people from the Rongdong group are not strong enough to dare to attack him. The girl with a gloomy expression tells him to go and save Chu Chen while she goes and persuades the blonde man in the dark jacket. She adds that if something happens to the main character, she will renounce her brother for the rest of her life. Her brother has a worried expression on his face. They both get out of the car. The girl asks Wang what needs to be done to make him spare Chu Chen. Rongdong walks towards her with a bat on his shoulder with the gentleman behind him and replies that he will tell her directly, and then asks if she knows that you can sign with fingerprints. He says with an angry expression that today he will beat the main character to death and use his fingerprints to sign the divorce agreement. But if the girl agrees to marry his brother Wang now, then he can show mercy and allow the main character to live as a disabled person. The girl shouts that they are taking advantage of the opportunity, and this is against the rules. A blonde man in a dark jacket presses a girl against the car. He yells at her to shut up. He has an angry expression on his face and says that he has already given the Song family a chance 3 times for her sake and now she is responsible for this. He says that his patience has run out and now he not only wants her to be his tonight, but also so that Chu Chen cannot leave here alive. The girl has a drop of sweat running down her face. Song-kyu shouts that 2 grown men are threatening his sister and shame on them. He hides behind a tree and secretly watches. He leans against a tree and trembles. Song-kyu tries to force himself to move. Chu Chen asks the guy if he will continue to just watch his sister being bullied. The main character stands in front of him with a calm face. Song-kyu asks Chu Chen how he returned and isn't there a whole crowd chasing him. The main character says that they are probably lost. The main character asks if he said that he is one like 10 people of the wrong group. He asks the question why he is inactive. Soo-kyu looks at the ground and trembles. He says that he wants to go, but if he goes, he will make the Song family the enemy of the Yi family and the wrong group. He adds that this is why he cannot even move his legs. The main character tells the guy that he really is a loser. The guy asks the main character if he really wants to die like that. Chu Chen tells the guy to shut up. Leaves from the trees are flying near the main character. He tells Song-kyu to remember his words. The guy is surprised by this behavior. Chu Chen stretches his hand and says that if someone dares to offend the one you love, you must answer him in kind. He adds that it doesn't matter how strong the person is. Rongdong says that this stupid person came on his own. Chu Chen adds that even if it hurts you, even if you have to start all over again, so what? The boss of the bullies runs with a bat at the main character and tells him to die. The main character raises his fist and says that if he is a man, then he needs to act like a man and strike. Wang smiles and Song-yeon is surprised. The main character hit the bully's boss in the torso and says that you need to hit him without remorse. Rongdong opens his mouth and coughs up blood. Wang, Song-yeon and Song-kyu are shocked. The bully boss lies defeated on the ground. The main character smiles and tells the blonde man in a dark jacket that now it's his turn. Wang laughs and tells the main character that he is completely crazy. He throws up his hands and asks the main character if he thinks he is acting honorably and adds that their family had great difficulty calming down the wrong group, but he decided to destroy the 3-way cooperation that his family relies on. With a gloomy face, he says that it is clear to everyone that the Song family can only prosper by rising to the level of the Yi family. And now the main character has completely angered the Rui group and they will soon take all measures. He adds that now the Song family will be forced to ask him for help and asks how the main character dares to go against him. The blonde man with a crazy expression on his face points his finger at the main character and shouts that he advises him to kneel down and promise to divorce Song-yeon and then he will allow the wrong group to spare him. Otherwise he will die. The main character punches Ishaya Wang in the face and 2 of his teeth fall out. The main character, with a smile on his face, asks why this piece of trash talks so much. The blonde falls to the ground. The main character shouts that he must know his place. He says that it looks like Ishaya Wang is lost and so he will take him home. The main character is dragging a trash can. The frightened blonde trembles and asks Chu Chen what he is going to do and adds that he advises him to come to his senses. The main character puts a trash can on the offender, breaking the plastic in it, and shouts at him to shut up. Ishaya Wang was knocked unconscious by the blow. He falls to the ground and trash falls out of the trash can. The main character stood on a trash can and said that the blonde man had finally calmed down. The main character, standing over the defeated enemy, asks where they are. He takes off the offender's pants. Song Yan asks Chu Chen why he needs all this. She holds onto the main character's shoulder and says that she told him not to get into a fight. Now he's finished when he finally angered 2 families. The main character takes out a wad of money and says that no, this is not a fight. He hands over a wad of money and says that he simply caused one-sided damage to them and received money for the car. She wonders if this is still the same Chu Chen, because they have been married for 5 years. And this is the first time she has seen him get out of a situation. The girl grabs the main character's hand and says that she doesn't even know what to tell him and adds that they are leaving here. The main character says that Song Q is still there in a state of paralysis and tells him to come out quickly. He crawls out of the bushes and raises his hand and says that he is coming. They drive off in the car, leaving the blonde man in the trash can behind. The full moon rises above the night city. The girl tells the main character that they will soon leave the city. She tells him to be careful and not get caught again. Chu Chen tells her not to worry and suggests she go home. Song Q asks the main character if he is crazy and says that the Song family will not be able to protect him. He adds that sooner or later they will find out about this, and even if Ishaya Wang and the others don't deal with him, his father will still want to end him. Song Yan says her brother is right. The main character tells them to think now and asks that if they were beaten by some fool, would they talk about it? The brother and sister are surprised, beads of sweat running down their faces. The main character with a smile on his face says that he thinks that this shame will die with them. As for the people, he assumes that they too will remain silent and adds that, in addition, they agreed that he will have one more day and even if they send him out of town, he will return. Su Qiu and Song Yan listen carefully to Chu Chen. The main character adds that after all, he and Mr. Zia have an appointment at Song's house tomorrow. The main character crossed his arms at the back of his head and relaxed. He says that he is not one of those who violate agreements. Song Qiu wondered if Chu Chen was still doing this because of his logic and thinking. He tells his sister that they should go home. He adds that this guy said that they will return, even if they take him out, and if so, then it is better to return now. Song Q says that from now on he will protect the main character. The main character thought that this guy thinks he needs protection. Sung Yan puts his hand on his chest and says, good. The car is driving along the road. She adds that they should go home then, but first he needs to call his father so that he knows that they are okay. Someone asks Song Ziyang what the elder wanted from him. Mansion and Song. The car is parked at the entrance to the house. The father of the family puts his hand on his head and says that the second one complained to him about what Chu Chen did. A girl with a purple t-shirt and a girl in green clothes are sitting on the sofa. Lin Xinping and the mother of the family listen to their father. Song Ziyang with an irritated face says that for the past 5 years they have relied on Chu Chen's luck, thanks to which he was able to become the head of the family. But the elder believes that he caused a lot of trouble and wanted him to give up his place to the second. The girl in green clothes is called Song King and she is the second lady of the family. The girl in the purple t-shirt is called Song Yun and she is the first lady of the family. Song Yun says that if they allow this to happen, they will be finished. Song King says that it's true, because their second uncle's family's business is developing so well, and they will all be crushed as soon as they gain power. The father of the family with an angry face raises his hands at head level. He says that he will be the one who gets the worst and adds that Chu Chen asked for it himself. The father of the family says to calm down and adds that fortunately Yi Xiaowang helped them deal with him and calm down the wrong group, and thanks to the three-way cooperation, they still managed to keep the situation under control, and therefore the elder still agreed for him to remain the head. Song Yun says that Chu Chen's death is worth something. Song King smiles and says that he hopes he was tortured well. She adds that the more painful the death, the better for the wrong group. The father of the family hears the ringtone of the phone. He picks up the phone and asks Su Qiu if they are back. His son replies that they returned safely with Chu Chen. Song Ziyang is confused. He says to wait. With fear on his face, he asks his son what he said. The father of the family drops the phone and Song Yen asks what's going on. Song Ziyang is shaking with fear. With a trembling voice, he tries to talk about the main character who has returned. The car arrives at the Song family's mansion. The main character sits in the car with a smile on his face. Su Yuexian, Song King and Lin Xinping are shocked. They open their mouths wide and ask what does it mean returned. Everyone got out of the car. Song Q puts his hand on the back of his head and thinks about why he always feels a chill down his back after calling his dad. He remembered what his father told him. He said with an evil smile on his face that if Chu Chen could get to the meeting place safely, he would personally give him a warm welcome. Song Q looks fearfully at the main character walking towards the mansion, thinking that his father is a rat, and asks to call in advance to deal with the main character. The guy imagined himself sitting behind the wheel with a gold chain around his neck and told his father to come out and greet Chu Chen. He grabs his head and screams that he is in complete trouble. Song Yan asks his brother what's wrong with him. He holds his head and repeats that he is a corpse. The father of the family opens the door. He goes outside with other family members and calls out the name Chu Chen. He forced a smile and said welcome home. Song Q thought that he would be severely punished after looking at his father's face. Song Yan says she remembered something, but the main character interrupts her. He smiles and, closing one eye, asks if he did something wrong. He asks why they are looking at him like that. Song Q froze in fear. Song Yan thought that the main character did this on purpose. The main character asks Lin Xinping if his tea is ready. The main character's wife, with a frightened face, wonders if the main character is rushing to heaven. Song Q thought that not only did the main character personally greet him, but he also wanted the elder to pour him some tea. The guy clenched his fist and remembered how the older sister's husband said that he would pour tea for the main character if he returned. He adds that it was Lin Xinping who despised Chu Chen the most. The older sister's husband pours tea into a glass. He holds the glass in both hands and passes it to the main character, for which he thanks him. Brother and sister are shocked. Song Q thought that Lin Xinping really did it. Song Yang thought that this was madness and did not believe that he respected the law of words. The elder sister's husband clenched his fist and thought with anger on his face that he dare not pour him some tea, since the father personally greeted the main character. Chu Chen calls his brother cute in the background. The father of the family turns to Song Q and says that he said to protect his sister, so why did he save Chu Chen? Lin Xinping asks the guy why he saved the main character. Zhu Jian asks Song Q if he thinks that the main character has brought enough disaster to their family. The guy thought that it was all over and the hour of reckoning had come. Song Yan spreads his arms wide and says that he understands that it's hard to believe, but the main character returned not thanks to his brother. Her brother confirms these words. The girl adds that Chu Chen himself dealt with the people of the wrong group and returned with them. Song Ziyang slammed his hand on the table and said that he wouldn't believe this nonsense. He doesn't believe that the entire wrong group couldn't cope with this stupid son-in-law. He adds that he simply does not want to be punished and commands the butler to bring the whip. Song Q put his hand to his chest and thought that this punishment would not have happened if they knew that Yi Xiaowang was beaten. The butler carries a whip on a plank. The father of the family takes the whip. He swings his whip and says that today he will teach him a lesson. Chu Chen grabs the father of the family by the hand and loudly tells him to wait. He says with a serious look that even the evil tiger does not eat his children, and brother Song Q is still very young. The main character asks if he can survive killing him. Song Ziyang asks, killing. Su Yuexian crossed her arms and said with a dissatisfied expression that this is an ordinary family punishment. This is the law, and there is no talk of death. Lin Xinping laughs and points his finger at the main character and says that in all the years of living at home, he has never seen anyone dare to go against the family law. Zhu Jian puts his hands on his belt and says that this is considered treason, and Chu Chen is clearly mad with the desire to die. Song Yan approaches the main character and tells him to stop. Song Q tells the main character that everything is fine, but it's just a spanking. The father of the family gritted his teeth and said that Chu Chen had become completely insolent. He swings a whip at the main character and repeats that the main character is completely insolent. He shouts at Song Yan not to shield him, because he dared to break the family law, and it seems he also wants to be spanked. The father of the family hits with a whip, but the main character, taking the girl by the arm, dodges the blow. Metal needles fall from the whip. Song Ziyang looks at the fallen needles in surprise. The main character throws metal needles on the ground and asks why there are so many needles on the whip if this is not an attempt to beat the guy to death. Everyone is shocked by the number of needles. Song Kyu crawls back and asks his father why there are so many needles in the whip and asks if he really wants to beat him to death. Song Ziyang throws the whip on the floor and shouts that he couldn't do that. Su Yuexian tearfully asks why there are so many needles in the whip and asks who tried to kill Song Kyu. The father of the family tells the butler that this is his whip. Song Ruhai puts his hands forward and tells the father of the family that he has no business here and the whip was in his office. Song Ziyang shouts to the butler if he wants to shift the blame onto him and adds that because of his ignorance, his son almost got hurt. He asks if they all want to be punished today. Lin Xinping rests his chin and tells his father that he thinks something is wrong here. He points his finger at the main character and asks why only the main character noticed the needles and whether it is possible that he hid them in the whip. Song Yan says that this is quite possible. Chu Chen asks family members if they are blind. He says that he noticed not only that there were needles in the whip, but also that there was poison on them. The father of the family asks with a surprised look, "What? Poison?" Lin Xinping points his finger at the main character and tells him that he is completely crazy and asks him if he thinks that someone would dare to kill Song Kyu in front of their eyes. The mother of the family says that they are not like that and would never do that. Song King confirms her words. Song Ziyang shouts that even if it is not true, it is better to check. He gives the whip to the butler and says that he needs to show the whip to Master King Feng, a student of Zhang Yunguo. He adds that he needs to know if the whip needles are poisonous. The butler runs as fast as he can and says that Master King Feng says that there really is poison on the needles and it is very dangerous. The head of the family turns around and asks, "What?" Song Ziyang sits on a chair and thinks that someone wanted not only to harm Song Kyu, but to kill him with someone else's hand. He wonders who needs this. Lin Xinping with an angry expression tells his father that Chu Chen could see the needles, but how could he see the poison? The mother of the family agrees with his words and suggests that the main character has something to do with this. Zhu Jian shouts that it was the main character who decided to get rid of Song Kyu. They tell their father to detain Chu Chen to find out what happened through torture. Song Yan trembles when he hears their words. The father of the family shouts that the main character has nothing to do with it. The mother of the family, Lin Xinping and Song King are surprised by their father's words. Song Ziyang with drops of sweat on his face says that if Chu Chen had not spoken, his son would no longer be alive. He adds that there is no point in arguing here. The father goes to the door and tells everyone to leave. The main character crosses his hands at the back of his head and thanks his father. Song Yan looks at his relatives with an angry face. Song King tells everyone to forget about it and leave. Lin Xinping with an angry face says that the main character is lucky. Song Kyu names the main character. He bows deeply and shouts thanks to him. He trembles and screams that he doesn't know how the main character was able to see, but thanks him for saving his life. He adds that he wants to apologize for being so rude to him all these 5 years. Lin Xinping clutches his head while Song Yan smiles. Chu Chen puts his hand on the guy's shoulder and tells him that everything is fine. They are relatives. Background of the night sky. The voice of the father of the family can be heard from the gazebo. He asks Song Kyu if he is angry with his dad for this night. The guy throws up his hands and says it's okay because he knows it must be someone else trying to hurt him. The head of the family says that he is also to blame and wants to ask something else. Song Ziyang asks his son to be honest about how exactly Chu Chen returned and adds that given the strength of the wrong group, such a return was not accidental. Song Kyu tells his father that this is a little shocking, so he should ask if he has high blood pressure or has had a heart attack. These words fell on my father's head like a heavy stone. With an angry expression on his face, he says that he has never experienced anything like this and asks his son to quickly tell. The son says that he could easily save his sister, but his son-in-law got ahead of him and entered into battle with the wrong group and immediately knocked Rong Dong down with a blow to the stomach. The guy gets used to the role of a theatrical storyteller. He adds that then Yi Wang didn't take the main character seriously and started chatting like crazy. But the son-in-law didn't care and instead proclaimed that trash should know its place. The father of the family spills tea from a glass. The guy tells how the main character picked up a standing trash can and slammed it into the blonde man's head. Song Ziyang breaks a glass of tea. The guy adds that the blonde immediately passed out and it was shocking. It's as if lightning flashes through the head of the family. He is in shock. He thought about Chu Chen beating Yi Wang. At this moment, the father of the family not only experienced high blood pressure and a heart attack, but even thrombosis of cerebral vessels. Voices are heard from the mansion. Su Yuexian asks Song Yan if it is true that the main character beat up the gentleman from the Yi family. She wipes away her tears and says that they have completely insulted their family and now they will stop trilateral cooperation and her father will have to retire. Song Yen is silent. The mother of the family loudly says that she will prepare a new divorce agreement before the morning. She adds that the girl will only need to sign it tomorrow in the presence of Yi Xiaowang and kick Chu Chen out, with which they may be able to save their family. Song Yen calls his mother. The main character opens the door and tells his wife not to worry, because this is just a three-way collaboration. The main character winks and says that tomorrow he will achieve cooperation with the Xia family, which is much better than the cooperation with the Yi family and the wrong group. He believes that in this case their family will come to their senses. The girl asks Chu Chen if he has recovered. He thought that this evening his behavior was no different from the behavior of an ordinary person. The main character replies that for the first time in 5 years he feels great. The girl smiles and asks the main character if he remembered where his house is. Chu Chen thought for a moment and replied that it was difficult for him to answer this question now. The girl raises her hand and tells the main character not to worry and adds that everything is fine. She thought that if she knew where the main character's house was, she could send him back and adds that then she wouldn't have to worry about having no one to take care of him. The main character made a gloomy face and said that he remembered something. With a smile on his face, he imagined 9 silhouettes located on the cliff. The main character says that his family is in the capital and they are number 1 in China. He adds that they have 9 masters and they are all amazing. He gets into a fighting stance and says that they are omnipotent in heaven and on earth, and they also taught him martial arts. Song Yen thought that she was mistaken and the protagonist's illness only worsened. The girl sits down on a chair and says to forget about it, and then asks the main character to tell what feelings he had in the last 5 years. As he begins the story, the girl with a sad expression on her face thought that Chu Chen could not express his feelings for 5 years and he must have suffered from humiliation, pain and indifference. She adds that he must have wanted to talk to someone, and the girl was the only one who had been there all these years. The main character points his finger at the girl and says that she is his wife, but does not care about their relationship. He adds that they have been together for 5 years, like an ideal couple, but she does not even show attention and care towards him. The main character calls this disgusting. The girl blushed. She throws a pillow and a chair at Chu Chen and then swears at him, calling him a pig. The main character replies that there is no need to be angry, because he just made an analogy. The girl shouts that this is a bad comparison and calls him a scoundrel. The main character with a bump on his head opens the door and says that he is going to bed. Song Yan thought that Chu Chen was impudent and insulted her. Song Q in cute pajamas stands on one leg on top of a pillar with a lion mask. The main character stands below and watches. He brushes his teeth and calls the young guy's name. He asks the guy, "Was it yesterday that inspired you so much to do the lion dance?" Song Q tells his son-in-law that this is not so and he is doing the family a favor. The guy takes off his mask and says that in 5 days the ceremony of the city of Chengcheng will take place, and adds that if he can perform a lion dance there, he can solve the problem that the family is overly reliant on tripartite cooperation. The main character asks how the lion dance will help solve the problem, and the guy answers that it won't. He wonders why the main character is brushing his teeth here. A man with glasses and a cane sits on a leather chair. Song Q says that actually, the ceremony in Chengcheng City is the 80th anniversary of the head of the Huan family, and this family is the most powerful family in Chengcheng City, even more powerful than the Yi family. He says that this dance became an event that Huan loved so much. The guy looks at the wooden pillar decorated with a red ribbon and says that if you win, you can win recognition from the head of Huan, and this can be considered a step forward on the path to success and prosperity. He says that it would be a great honor and benefit for the whole family. The guy says that currently all the main families in the city are actively preparing for this, so the competition is high. He assumes he has little chance of winning, but he still practices, even if he has trouble finding a professional. The main character, rinsing his mouth, asks who said that. It's a piece of cake. Chu Chen spits out the water he was using to rinse his mouth. Water gets into the ribbon and destroys it. Song Q asks the main character if he was a shooter in a past life. The main character covers his mouth with his hand and says that it is difficult to answer this question. He said with a smile on his face that he however thought that he was his wife's slave. The main character thought that if winning brings so many benefits, then his wife will be very happy if her brother wins. The father, surrounded by his family members, shouts that everyone is ready. He, with a ribbon on his torso, shouts that Yi Xiaowang will come soon and they should greet him at the highest level. Lin Xinping says so accurately with a smile on his face. Song Yan arrives and calls her father. She is wearing shorts, a t-shirt and a shirt. The girl asks why her father called her. The mother of the family asks what the girl is wearing and whether she is ashamed. She adds that she spoke about the arrival of Mr. Yi Xiaowang. She tells the girl to quickly come back and change her dress as he will be here soon. The main character comes and says that this is not necessary. He is dressed in summer clothes. He says that the gentleman from the Yi family will not come to them today, and the only one who will come to them today is Mr. Zia. The father of the family points his finger at the main character and asks what he is wearing. The mother of the family puts her hand on her forehead and says that the main character gave her a headache. Song Ziyang tells the main character to wait until the master arrives. He assumes that Chu Chen wants to piss him off. The main character with a smile on his face says that only Mr. Zia will come and he does not at all approve of this unnecessary and boring pathos that the family members have staged. The main character thought that thanks to Song Qingpeng, he values him as a free person. Lin Xinping tells the main character not to fool him. He puts his hand on the back of his head and says that since he said that he would be here today, it means he will be. Zhu Jian carries lanterns and agrees, and then adds that in addition, he said that Mr. Zia will not be able to come. Song Yun puts his hand on his chest and says that the issue with yesterday's poison needles has not yet been resolved. Song King tells the main character that since he is fine, he should hurry up and sign a new divorce agreement and fails. Song Yan says with an angry expression that Chu Chen saved Song Q's life last night and asks if her family members are really that ungrateful. She adds that she will not accept Mr. Yi. Song King puts his hand on the girl's shoulder and says that she is just young and foolish. Song King looks into Song Yan's face and says that when she tastes Yi Xiaowang's sweetness, she will definitely change her mind. The main character with crossed arms thought that what kind of young master is a man if he couldn't even block his attack. Song Ruhai comes running and shouts that the gentleman from the Yi family is here and adds that he saw the gentleman's exclusive limousine drive up. He holds his back, swollen from torture. The father and mother of the family have joyful faces. Song Ziyang says that since he came, he doesn't hold a grudge against them. Su Yuexian says that it seems that her relationship with Yi can still be saved. Lin Xinping asks the main character if he is sure that Yi Xiaowang will not come when his car is already here. Zhu Jian asks the main character if he feels below par. The main character with a smile on his face says that it seems to him that a gentleman from the Zia family has arrived. The father of the family calls everyone to prepare to meet the gentleman of the Yi family. The young gentleman from the Zia family gets out of the car wearing flip-flops and asks what they are doing, since he just came to visit them. He adjusts his glasses and eats the pulp of a watermelon with a spoon. He asks why they made such a fuss and why they all look like clowns. The father of the family and his entourage are in shock. He wondered why a gentleman from the Zia family came out of the Yi family's car. With a smile on his face, he asks Mr. Zia why he came in Mr. Yi's car. The Song family father thought that Chu Chen was right. The gentleman from Zia laughs and says that he just visited him, and his face was swollen like a pig and that's why he can't come. He adds that this is why he borrowed his car to bring Mr. Zia. The main character with a smile on his face reminds him that he said that Yi Xiaowang will not come and asks if the others still doubt it. Song Ruhai shouts to Song Ziyang that the head of the family called and he asks to invite Mr. Zia to the old mansion. Song Ziyang asks if the head is also surprised by Mr. Zia's visit. The main character rests his chin on his hand and thinks that the head of Song spends a lot of time in the old mansion and few people know about him. He adds that Song Ziyang is only acting as head of the family. The main character smiles smugly and thought that the old man was worried when Zia was here and added that helping his wife win cooperation with the Zia family is an absolutely mandatory task. Mr. Zia gives the watermelon to the butler and tells the protagonist to take him to the head. He notices that the main character has smart clothes. Chu Chen shows the way to Mr. Zia. Lin Xinping rips off the red ribbon he is wearing and shouts to his father that the main character should not go because he might mess up in front of Mr. Zia. Zhu Jian confirms the words of his relative and says that the main character will also anger the Zia family, and they will all have big problems because of this. Dad closes his eyes and says, "Let him go." Song Ziyang says that Yi Xiaowang's car is here, but he hasn't arrived, which means he wants to show his hidden anger. He adds that this trilateral cooperation is becoming unsustainable. The father looks at Chu Chen's back and says that for the sake of the future of the Song family, even if the chances are slim, it remains to be seen whether Chu Chen can get the cooperation of the Zia family. He turns and says to leave. Zhu Jian shouts that this fool is just lucky. Song family old mansion. The head of the Song family laughs and says that he was just worrying about the city ceremony when he heard that Mr. Zia from Yancheng suddenly showed up. He looks like a gray-haired old man with a long mustache and beard. He adds that is why he decided to invite him to the mansion. The current head of the Song family, Song Changking, Xiaobei, says you're welcome and notes that today is the Huan family's big holiday and everywhere you look, people are preparing for it. The head of the Song family asks for help with hieroglyphs. The gentleman from the Xia family agrees to help and says that he is known as the god of the feather in Yancheng. Pan props his chin with his hand and says that this is a strong and powerful word that carries the energy of favorable impulses. He thinks this word means power. Song Changking picks up the paper and tells Mr. Xia that he made a mistake and this word is unworthy. He tears the paper in front of the young master's face. 3 calligraphers stand with brushes. The head of the Song family says that Master Huan is now looking for young people throughout the city to show the Huan family in the best possible light. The old man crumples the paper and says that countless calligraphy masters have submitted their creative works with a lot of effort. Xiaobei has a scared face. The old man says that with his skill level, he is far from being able to compete with those monsters. The guy thought that even such a good and strong word is just a dummy. The head of the Song family rubs his beard and tells Mr. Xia that since he said that he is known as the god of the pen, can he fulfill the request? The old man sat down on his knees and folded his palms. He asks the guy to do calligraphy work for the Huan family ceremony, because it can save their family from their current difficulties. The old man grabs the guy's shoulder. Xiaobei, with a frightened face, tells the old man to get up, and then adds that he can't do it either. The old man cries and says that Mr. Xia is the god of the pen and if he does not agree, he will no longer be able to get up. He adds that if he cannot win this competition, he will no longer have a reason to live. The guy thought he was just showing off, but this old man really believed it. The guy agrees and tells the old man to get up already. Song Changking gives a thumbs up and says that a big shot like Xiaobei should not go back on his words. He adds that Mr. Xia is a good person. The guy touches his temple and tells the old man to go first, while Chu Chen will talk to him and they will write while talking. The guy thought that this old man was impudent and planned everything in advance to use him. The head of the Song family loudly says that he will fulfill his request. Song Changking leaves the office and tells the main character that the gentleman from the Xia family is waiting for him. Lin Xinping looks at Chu Jian and tells him that the master really wants to see the main character. The interlocutor asks what kind of luck this stupid person has. The main character opens the door calling the name of the young master. Xiaobei notices that the main character is finally here. He runs his brush over the paper and says that he boasted so much to the old man, and now he asks him to write a hieroglyph for him. He asks Chu Chen to help and asks how he likes what has already been written. The main character comes up with his hands in his pockets and says that he didn't expect that the young gentleman also does calligraphy. The main character looks at the result with fear. The paper says, "Happy birthday, Master Huan." The gentleman from Xia asks if it turned out great. The main character doesn't know what to say in response. He decides to say that maybe he will do it, and the young master will say that he wrote it. Xiaobei first asks the main character if he can write and then clarifies that he needs to know how good his writing level is. Chu Chen smiles and says that he is good enough. After all, he studied with the man who is called the god of the pen. The main character represents a sage working with luminous inscriptions. The young master folds his palms and with a happy face tells the main character that he is counting on him. The main character agrees. Xiaobei thought that although he may be wrong about other things, his ability to evaluate people is very accurate. The guy remembers how the main character poured wine into Song Qingpeng's mouth. He thought that yesterday he became interested in the main character because he discovered that he is actually not stupid, but he senses in him the potential of a great leader who hides his abilities and is waiting for his moment. He adds that people with such a rare aura often have superior skills. Blue magical energy is concentrated around the main character and his hand. The young master thought that the ability to write the main character did not particularly surprise him. He closed his eyes and smiled, thinking that the main character was the one he had his eye on after all. The main character finishes it and says it's ready. Mr. Xia looks at the result with a frightened expression on his face. It's as if Xiaobei's soul is leaving. The main character asks if it turned out well. The young master thought that even he wrote it better and it seems that he was still mistaken. The old man behind the door says that he is looking forward to his masterpiece. The guy shouts to wait a minute. He takes the brush in his hand and thought that he would lose face if the old man saw what Chu Chen wrote, and he should write another one without typos. The old man rubs his beard and tells Xiaobei to let him admire his masterpiece. The young gentleman hides the paper behind his back and says that everything is just ready. The young master thought that he had not told the main character that he was ready, but he had already started the old man. The guy thinks that he will put the main character's manuscript in his other hand and then take out his own, which is most likely better than Chu Chen's. The old man asks the young master to raise his right hand. The main character raises the guy's right hand and tells his grandfather to look at the manuscript. Xiaobei grabs his face and thinks that Chu Chen set him up. The old man, with a very surprised face, points his finger at the manuscript and calls it beautiful. The old man cries and holding the manuscript in his hands says that the work is worthy of the god of the pen, and he has never seen a young man be able to write so beautifully. The main character made a smug smile. The young master asks if this is excellent. The head of the Song family looks at the manuscript and says that Mr. Xia is still too modest, even though he says he is the god of the pen. The old man tells the guy what it says: great intentions and great dominion, laughter in spite of the drunkenness in life. He says that it rhymes with Huan and expresses the great ambitions and desires of Mr. Huan, and is also written in such words that fools cannot read. He adds with enthusiasm on his face that Master Huan is very fond of ancient cursive writing, and if this calligraphy is used for participation in competitions, then they have a great chance of winning. The young master is confused. The main character crosses his arms and guesses Mr. Xia's thoughts with a smug expression on his face. Xiaobei raises his fist to his face and says that this is just calligraphy he quickly wrote, nothing special, and if old man Song sees something special in it, then let him take it. The guy thought he needed to quickly change the subject before he embarrassed himself. The old man examines the manuscript and thanks the guy for it. He adds that the guy forgot to sign it and expresses a desire to see how he does it now. The young master is scared. He holds a brush in his hand and says he can't. He approaches Chu Chen and says that he can't, because the signature means that he is the owner, so why not let Chu Chen sign, because in fact this letter should be given to him. Song Changking asks the young master if he is sure that he wants to give it to him. The young master replies that he is sure, and if the main character signs, then he will not have to reveal himself and he will be able to maintain the appearance of generosity. The main character asks to be allowed to try. The old man asks the main character if he has skills in calligraphy and asks him not to ruin everything. The young master says Chu Chen will not be shy and write boldly. The main character says that he will try and begins to write hieroglyphs. The young master gives a thumbs up to the main character. The old man clutches his chest and thinks that the main character is the same age, but the difference in skills is huge. He adds that he is sure that the calligraphy that Xia hid was written by Chu Chen and notes that the young master knows how to take care of other people's faces. The young master invites the head of the Song family to start discussing issues of cooperation. The old man was surprised and thought that the guy had really come to discuss cooperation. The old man agrees and leads Chu Chen to the exit, saying that it is none of his business. Xiaobei tells the head of the Song family that he misunderstood and he meant that he wanted to talk to Chu Chen. He asks the old man to go out for a few minutes. Song Changking's face turns red and he says that they can talk. He thought that the young master did not come to him and he was ashamed, because he is the most important in the family. The old man opened the door to his office. Song Ziyang asks his father how he is doing. The old man thinks that Xia is not here to talk about cooperation. The head of the Song family trembles and says that Xianbei is holding separate negotiations with Chu Chen and also gave him an excellent calligraphy letter. He adds that now, thanks to the blessing of the main character, their family has a chance to receive the Huan family's green color at the ceremony. The Song family members are shocked. The young master thanks Chu Chen for saving his face, but he won't give this opportunity for cooperation so easily. Xiaobei illuminated by sunlight. He says that in fact, even before he came to the Song family, he went to the Yi family and talked to them about cooperation, because in the end, if one decides to choose one partner for cooperation, then the Yi family wins in all aspects. The main character replies that this is indeed so. The young master with a serious expression says that if he doesn't give them an answer before midnight, then they can automatically enter into an agreement with the Yi family. He adds that this means that the Song family only has a few minutes left to convince him to make an agreement, and so he will ask a few questions. He says that if the main character can give satisfactory answers, then he will abandon the Yi family and choose the Song family to cooperate. He puts his hand to his chest and says that if the answers do not satisfy him, then he will have to say goodbye to the Song family. Lin Xinping hits the railing with his fist and asks why Mr. Xia wants to discuss such serious issues with Chu Chen. With an angry expression, he says to pay attention to how much the young master loves Chu Chen. Zhu Jian puts his hand to his chest and says that if he manages to make an agreement, then they will not be able to expel him from the family, and if he is not expelled, then his influence may become a threat. Song Ziyang wipes his sweat with a towel and says that Xia is not the type to choose random partners. He adds that although he is called the third young master without success in Yancheng, This is not because he is a slacker and frivolous in his affairs. It represents Xiaobei wearing a crown and sitting on a throne. He thinks that there are rumors that Mr. Xia asks his partners the strangest questions, and in all these years no one has been able to answer them correctly, and all because he is very picky about his partners, and this is what caused the failures in business. He imagined many potential partners falling into the sea with sharks. The father of the family looks at the door and thought that if they only allowed the old and cunning gentleman to negotiate, there would at least be a chance of success. But now with a rude and careless main character, the chances of correct answers are almost zero. The young master put one foot on the other and asks the main character what he will choose if he is deprived of merit in some major matter, revenge or patience. The main character props his chin with his finger and says that he will give fame, wealth, etc. to someone else. Xiaobei replies that it's not bad. With a menacing expression on his face, he says that if he has a choice, on the one hand, power over the world, and on the other, his beloved woman, so that he chooses. The main character replies that he will choose power over the world and sleep with his beloved. The young master says that this is a good answer. The guy with a smile on his face asks how to achieve both goals if you apply this statement to real life. He asks the main character to give an answer that will satisfy him, otherwise their conversation may end there. Chu Chen is surprised and silent. Song Ziyang's phone rang. He takes the call and says he is listening. It was Yi Xiaowang, who with a beaten face asks the father of the family how he is doing. Sweat appears on the man's face. The blonde man in a black jacket believes that Mr. Xia is now with them and discusses cooperation issues with Chu Chen and asks if the father of the Song family knows that he has actually already agreed on cooperation with the Yi family. He says with an evil smile that he is going to officially sign an agreement with the Xia family soon and adds that Mr. Xia went to meet them just to complete the formalities. The father of the Song family asks if the Xia family has confirmed cooperation with the Yi family. Song Ziyang with a scared face hears Yi Xiaowang ask if he is afraid and says not to worry, because their Song family has nothing to worry about. The gentleman from the Yi family says goodbye and hangs up the call. The father of the Song family shouts that he wants to discuss everything with Mr. Yi. Lin Xinping and Zhu Jian ask their father what happened. The father of the family hits the chair with his fist and says that it's all over because Xia has made a deal with the Yi family, which means Chu Chen no longer has a chance. He adds that maybe by marrying Song Yan to Yi Xiaowang, they will still have a chance to save the family. He shouts at Zhu Jian to quickly bring a new divorce agreement and adds that tonight they need to find a way to marry Song Yan to Mr. Yi. The father of the family walks from side to side. The girl looks at her father in fear and thinks that her father's determination is stronger this time. She wonders if she will really have to marry Mr. Yi. Song Ziyang, Lin Xinping and Song Yan hear Mr. Xia shouting about his decision. Yi Xiaowang crosses one leg over the other and with a menacing expression on his face calls the Song family stupid and says that he will punish them in the future. Three men in business clothes enter Mr. Yi's room. He assumes that this is a representative and says that he is ready to sign the agreement at any time. The man with black hair says that they decided not to sign the contract because Xiaobei changed his mind. With a calm expression and a depressing aura, the guy says that Mr. Xia believes that Mr. Yi does not have the right answer to the questions asked, but Chu Chen was able to give the perfect answer to the test question, and therefore, in the future, the cooperation of the Xia family will be completely transferred to the Song family. Xiaobei hugs the main character and shouts that his answer is truly wonderful, and from now on all his family's affairs will be transferred to the Song family, and let Yi Xiaowang continue to play his games. All the Song family members and Mr. Yi are shocked. Song Ziyang shouts to Mr. Xia whether he really chooses to cooperate with Chu Chen. He thought that Xiaobei had never confirmed the cooperation and suddenly decided to choose the Song family, and even moreover, he chose Chu Chen. Mr. Xia smiles broadly and says that the protagonist's answer absolutely matches his preferences and is simply the perfect choice in his opinion. Memories. The young master stands over the main character and asks him to give a satisfactory answer to the question. The main character closes his eyes and smiles. He says that in public opinion, people often use the fish and bear analogy to talk about choices in life, and it reminds them that they need to be able to give up one thing in order to choose the other. He gets up from his seat and says that he is the one who strives to conquer the world, and if he does not have the opportunity to take two good pieces, then why do anything at all? The main character turns his back to the young master and says that Xiaobei in the city is called the third young master without success. Mr. Xia, with a skeptical expression on his face, replies that this is so. The main character puts his hand on the manuscript and says that he invites you to collaborate with him and guarantees huge success in business and the opportunity to truly become the first son of Tynan. The main character imagines a bear and a whale and says that in the general opinion of people, it is often believed that different things cannot be combined together like fish and a bear, but in his perception, only a whale and a bear are incompatible. Mr. Zia asks why, because there are other materials. The main character answers that because such transactions are illegal. Ziabe laughs with his mouth wide open and says that the main character has ambitions to conquer the world, but he also has the common sense to not go overboard. He adds that no one has ever expressed such a beautiful answer before and asks the main character how successful it is. The father of the Song family is shocked. Lin Xinping says that Chu Chen dared to say something so arrogant and asks Mr. Zia if he thinks that the main character is crazy. The young master leaves and says that he will not stay any longer since they agreed on cooperation. The main character says goodbye to the guy. With a smile on his face, he thought that Mr. Zia had unique preferences, so he prepared the most suitable words. Song Ziyang looks at the document and says it's true. Lin Xinping looks at his brother's face and thinks that his father agrees, and they will look at how arrogant the main character will be when he leaves home. The Song family father tears up the document and says that Chu Chen was right when he said that their arguments were pointless. He announces with a serious expression that the three-way deal between their families has ended and they now need to rely on the cooperation with the Zia family that Chu Chen has made. He adds that if they expel him, then how can they compete with the second son of the head of the family and how can they participate in the ceremony? The father of the family scattered the torn pieces of the document and said that it was time to think about reconsidering his actions. Both guys call their father and think that this is a dream as they watch the father of the family supporting Chu Chen. Yixia Wang breaks the vase and shouts that it's all because of the main character. He throws the documents on the floor and accuses Song Ziyang of daring to do nothing with this stupid one so that he will steal the cooperation. With an angry expression on his face, he says that from today he declares war on the Song family and adds that he will show them that Cheng is not Yancheng, where the Zia family can do something. The mansion is illuminated by bright sunlight. Song Yan enters the main character's room and tells him that she has finished the conversation with her father and grandfather about cooperation with the Zia family, and now they can return. The main character agrees with his wife with a smile on his face. Lin Xinping says that this is just a deal and they will watch the main character fall on the wave of success. Zhu Jian says that he wishes the main character a quick death. Someone shouts the name of the main character, looking for him. The main character and his wife pay attention to the noise. This is Song Qingpeng and his father Song Muyan, the second son of Old Man Song and the younger brother of Song Ziyang. Song Muyan asks the main character who he is that dared to hit his son and tells him to immediately come out and kneel down to apologize. Lin Xinping smiles and says that retribution has come and second uncle has come to deal with Chu Chen. Zhu Jiang says that he is famous for his protection of his wards and the main character will soon receive his punishment. Song Yan tells her uncle that she has already discussed yesterday's events and it should be noted that the beginning of the conflict was initiated by Song Qingpeng, and the main character was simply defending himself. The uncle points his finger at the girl and asks how you can believe the words of a stupid guy. He says with an angry expression that Chu Chen not only insulted his son, but also brought the Yi and Rong families into conflict, putting his family in a difficult situation. He adds that all these violations deserve punishment and he is sure that his elder brother and father will definitely deal with him fairly and strictly. The main character, with a smile on his face, tells his uncle to try and informs him of his readiness to accept any punishment. Song Muyan tells the main character not to worry as he will take care of it immediately. Lin Xinping tells his uncle to wait and adds that it is better for him to punish the main character personally. Zhu Jiang says that Chu Chen made a deal with the Zia family, so turning to his father and others makes no sense. He adds that they also wanted to punish him, but dad and others protect him. The uncle, with a smile on his face, calls the words of the two guys nonsense and adds that his older brother and father always disliked the main character. He says that he acts in accordance with family rules and asks the guys if they think that the others will not pay attention to him and will protect this stupid guy. Song Muyan leaves and says that he doubts that Chu Chen could have made a deal with the Zia family. He calls this absurd and goes to explain everything to his older brother and dad, and then they will see what punishment they will prepare for the main character. Song Ziyang says with a serious expression that the main character was indeed able to make a deal with the Zia family. Song Changqing rubs his beard and asks what the problem is. Song Muyan and his son are shocked. He asks if Chu Chen was really able to close the deal. Song Ziyong says that he believes that Chu Chen is a decent guy and it is unlikely that he started the fight first. The old man agrees with his son and adds that Song Qingpeng probably started the conflict himself, and the main character was only defending himself. Song Qingpeng thought why they are protecting the main character even though he does not have ironclad proof of his innocence. The father of the Song family tells Song Qingpeng that Chu Chen is his son-in-law, so why is he offending him? The old man says that Song Muyan must be doing a bad job of raising the guy as a father. Father and son fall to the ground. The old man says that he will punish them both and makes them go and rewrite the family rules 10 times. Father and son note that in the end they were the ones punished. The white door to the office of the head of the family closes. Song Qingpeng and his father leave with dissatisfied faces. They head towards the exit. Lin Xinping wonders why they didn't listen to his advice. The main character drinks tea and Song Yan smiles. The main character calls his wife. He puts his hand on hers and says that he wants to ask her about Song Muyan. The girl blushed and asked the main character what interests him. Drops of sweat appear on the girl's hand. She thinks why the main character suddenly took her hand, because they are only husband and wife on paper. The main character does not pay attention to this, but the girl holds a man's hand for the first time. Chu Chen asks if there has been any conflict between uncle and their father recently. The girl lowered her gaze and said that they had no direct conflicts, but since childhood, my uncle always considered his father his sworn enemy, and therefore they did not get along very well. The main character drinks tea and thinks that he was right, that Q is the only son of Song Ziyong, and if he died, then control of the family would pass to the Song Muyan family. He suggests that the case of poison needles is connected to the Song Muyan family. The main character turns to his wife and asks why she was blushing. Song Yan asks Song Yan why her head is smoking and if she is sick. The girl answers no. She wonders why the main character is still holding her hand. Screams can be heard from the rich Song Qingpeng villa. Song Qingpeng rewrites the family rules and shouts that he must take revenge on the main character. A man with purple hair appears. He tells his brother not to worry. His name is Song King and he is the third son of Song Muyan. With a malicious expression on his face, he says that he will help his brother take revenge. Song Qingpeng holds his brother's hand and says that he has finally returned. He asks if he has mastered what he studied. The man with purple hair says that he joined the Brotherhood of Magicians and, although he only learned the basics, it is enough to cope with ordinary people. He takes out a bag in which something is moving. Song King says that when Master Zhang was around, he was afraid to interfere, but now that he is gone, this stupid Chu Chen dares to challenge. The man lets the snake out of the bag and says that he must make the main character feel bitter. Evening light illuminates the mansion. Song Yan, in front of a huge amount of documents, tells the main character that he suddenly took on such a large project, but immediately handed over all the management work to her. She asks if the main character is sure of his decision. The main character removes dust from the wall and tells his wife that he promised that cooperation would help her achieve success, but he is not very versed in business matters. The main character in an apron with a bear and hearts removes dust with a happy face. He tells his wife that he absolutely trusts her in this matter and is ready to fulfill his part of the responsibilities. The girl grabs her head with her hand. She tells the main character that all he does is sew and clean and maybe he should think about more ambitious tasks. The main character heard some sound. His face immediately becomes serious. The girl asks Chu Chen what's wrong with him. She thought that maybe the harsh words had finally made him think. The main character takes off the bandana from his head. With a serious expression on his face, he says that he needs to go to the toilet. The girl looks at the main character from behind and thinks that such sudden movements are just to go to the toilet. She finds it strange. A snake with red eyes clung to the chandelier. The main character observes the snake and says that he was right, but it is just an ordinary spiritual snake. He concentrates blue streams of energy around his hand and thinks that they decided to send this snake against him. The heir of the 9 deep inheritances. The snake is enveloped in blue flames. The main character grabbed the snake with his hand and thought that this snake belonged to some dangerous group. He adds that lately he has made too many enemies. The main character wonders who this fool is who dared to invade his wife's house. The main character hears the butler shouting to Song Yan that young Master Yi has come to visit them and the head of the family asks her to leave immediately. The main character looked thoughtful and wondered if it was possible that it was Yi, and given his capabilities, it was quite possible that he hired someone. Chu Chen thinks that if it was he who raised the stone at him, then he himself will suffer from it. The main character turns around and invites his wife to leave, because important guests are waiting for them. Yi Shea Wang tells Song Muyan that he is leaving the preparation of the trilateral cooperation to him. His interlocutor thanks Mr. Yi. Song Yan asks his father and mother what happened. Song Ziyong says that Mr. Yi deliberately handed over the three-way cooperation to Song Muyan right before his eyes, and it seems that he decided to support his brother in the fight against them. Yi Xiaowang, with a cup of tea in his hand, thought that he was specially conveying the cooperation right in front of him, and he probably regrets it a lot now. The main character appears from behind Mr. Yi and says good evening to him. The main character, with a smile on his face, pats the trash can and asks the blonde man if he slept well last night, and if he had a cold. Yi Xiaowang remembers how the main character put a trash can on him and held his neck. The blonde man, with concern on his face, suggests going inside and discussing their cooperation there. Song Muyan replies that Mr. Yi said that he wanted to discuss this here to demonstrate it to his elder brother. The gentleman from the Yi family replies that it is quieter inside. Both leave the table. The main character laughs mentally and thought, just look at him. A snake crawls out from under the main character's foot. He thought that since he had come, the tadpole could return to his mother. The main character has his arms crossed and his eyes glow green. Zhu Jian says that it's bad, because it seems that Mr. Yi really wants to support his uncle. Song Yun says that his uncle's business is booming now, and now there is also this cooperation. Lin Xinping says that dad seems to soon lose his status as the head of the family, and then they will definitely take revenge. Chu Chen tells the family members not to worry, because he has agreed to cooperate with Xia, and this is a completely different level. Lin Xinping asks the main character if he really thinks that cooperation with Xia is once and for all. He adds that the Xia family is new here and he doesn't understand how they can resist the local kings from the Yi family. The main character closes his eyes and says if this is the case, then let them have fun. The main character concentrates streams of blue energy in his hand. The Song family members notice the noise. Song Qingpeng rubs his hands and says that Chu Chen was caught and he turned out to be an easy target. Song King puts his hand to his forehead and says that he comes from a famous family. They see someone moving their legs from behind a bush. The guy with purple hair says that the guy is moaning. His brother films everything on video and says that he will quickly post online how Chu Chen groans. Both brothers look at the smartphone screen with surprised faces. Yi Xiaowang screams that he was bitten in the ass by a snake and holds onto the bite site. Behind him is Song Muyan. Everything that happens is broadcast live. Both brothers are staggering. Song Qingpeng asks why Mr. Yi got caught. Song Ziyong asks what's going on with Mr. Yi. Song Muyan replies that he doesn't know, but it looks like he was bitten by a snake. The father of the Song family asks to call an ambulance as soon as possible. Song Qingpeng tells his brother that they are lost because he screwed up. He asks his brother if he can neutralize the poison. Song King says that he would rather find an antidote than sign his own death warrant. The main character looks at the two brothers and thinks that one of them has such power. He sees a purple aura around Song King and thought that he had the power of earth. He adds that it means he thought about Yi Xiaowang in vain. Song Muyan says that Mr. Yi may not wait for help and asks if anyone can help him. The main character pours water into his shoe. Song Ziyong asks the main character why he needs Mr. Yi's shoe. Purple energy comes from the water in the shoe. The main character asks isn't it clear that he is saving him. Chu Chen doused Yi Xiaowang with water. Song Yan calls the main character brave and asks him what he is doing. The main character throws up his hands and says that she said that he needs help. Lin Xinping doubts whether the main character will save him. Song Muyan claims that the main character just wants revenge on Yi Xiaowang. He asks someone to catch him and punish him. The gentleman of the Yi family coughs up water. Song Muyan shouts to everyone to wait, noticing that Mr. Yi has come to his senses. The blonde puts 2 fingers to his forehead and asks who saved him and what that stench is on his face. Song Ziyong says that Chu Chen slept with him. Song Muyan says that the main character took off his shoe, took some water and splashed it in his face and it helped. The blonde does not believe that the main character helped him. He looks at the main character with a dissatisfied face and thought that he didn't know why he helped and why he took the shoe. He's foaming at the mouth. He says he has a fungus on his feet. The father of the Song family says that Mr. Yi is foaming at the mouth again. Lin Xinping says that the ambulance has arrived and the guy needs to be carried into the car quickly. Song Yan covers his nose and tells Chu Chen that although he saved Yi Xiaowang, he will definitely hold a grudge. Song Yan tells the main character that it is better to stay at home for a while, because as soon as he goes out it may end badly. The main character replies that he understands. The main character calls Mr. Xia and asks him at the Tianhao bar if he is now, and then says that he will be there soon. The girl asks the main character what he is going to do and says that he cannot just up and leave. The main character replies that he can, because Mr. Xia is waiting for him. The girl says that Xia Bei will not help him and if he leaves, he may die. The main character shows with a gesture that everything is in order and tells her not to worry, because they just signed an agreement and he cannot miss this opportunity. He adds that Song-kyu will accompany him and he will be home in the evening. The girl's brother drives up in a convertible and tells his sister not to worry, because he will protect his husband. Song-yen doubts whether the main character needs protection and, rather, on the contrary, who would protect others from Chu-chen. The girl doesn't have time to say anything, and the two guys have already left. The girl's brother says that they are off and says goodbye to his sister. The girl thought the further, the more the main character becomes uncontrollable and Song-kyu too. From the hospital, Yi-shea-wang shouts that he is in pain and everything hurts. Song-muyen asks the doctor if they really can't determine the reason for his condition. The blonde screams in pain while lying in bed. The doctor says that they carried out all the examinations and the indicators are normal. Rong-dong walks along the corridor with a crutch and says that he hears a familiar voice. He opens the door and asks Mr. Yi why he is here and is it really worse for him. Yi-shea-wang shouts that Chu-chen is to blame for this and tells him to quickly find people to beat him. He adds that he wants the main character to suffer. The guy with the crutch covers his nose and thinks about the smell of old socks. The blonde screams even more in pain. Rong-dong tells Mr. Yi not to worry, because he will tell his people to be ready and as soon as Chu-chen appears, there will be no living space left on him. Neon sign for Tianhao Bar. A man with blue hair sits in the middle of the sofa and hugs two girls. On the left is Zia Bei, and on the right is a man in a gray jacket. The gentleman from the Zia family addresses the man with blue hair and calls him Bao Huan. He asks him if he is afraid that his grandfather will find out that he is using the lion dance to make money. The young master of the Huan family is Huan Bao. He says that several years ago the best masters paid attention to him and he learned something from them. He adds that his grandfather has a high opinion of him and even if he finds out, he will not check him. A man in a gray jacket raises a glass of drink and says that he wishes Huan Bao a lot of money and offers to wet his throat. The man with blue hair smiles and agrees with the guy. The girl with brown hair asks Bao Huan if he can show him what he has learned from the masters. The girl with pink hair says that they really want to watch. The man takes something out of his jacket and says that he will show them since they ask. He takes a paper figurine out of his pocket and asks to look at it and tell him the date of birth according to the Bajai horoscope. He says that he will write something on the figurine and will be able to control all the actions of this person. Bao Huan asks who wants to tell their date of birth. A girl with pink hair and a guy in a gray jacket are excited. The guy offers to drink, and Xiaobei thinks that this is implausible nonsense and who will tell him his Bajai. A man with blue hair knocks his glass on the table and with an angry face asks if no one respects him. The guy in the gray jacket says that's not what they meant. The gentleman from Zia thought that Bao Hai decided to show off in front of the girls and assumed that nothing would stop him. He hopes that the main character will not come now. Someone opened the door to the room. It was Chu-chen. He raises his hand and apologizes to Mr. Zia for being late. A girl with brown hair asks Zia Bei if this is the same friend he was talking about. The gentleman from Zia thought that the main character came at the wrong time. The guy in gray said that this is the son-in-law from Song and they recognize him as Bajai. Bao Huan tells the main character that everyone was waiting for him, and then asks him to tell them his date of birth. He adds that they will have fun and he will have mercy on him. The protagonist asks him, "Will you have mercy on me?" He calls the young master from the Huan family a psycho. The main character with a contemptuous expression on his face says that he just arrived and they immediately ask him for Bajai. But they don't even know each other. He asks the guy if he is the emperor. Everyone else in the room is shocked. Zia Bei grabs his head and thinks that Chu-chen is quarreling with the wrong person and adds that he called him just to meet an influential person and earn extra money, and not to cause a scandal. Zia Bei laughs nervously and says that Chu-chen is his partner and he apparently didn't understand what was going on here as soon as he arrived. He adds that he will say his Bajai and they will not argue. Bao Huan says so be it, he will make an allowance. The young master from the Zia family gives his date of birth. He thinks that even though their family is as powerful as the Huan family, this is still the territory of the Huan family. He says that even a strong dragon will not go into the snake's lair and hopes that Chu-chen helped. The main character points his finger at Bao Huan and asks if he really called him to watch how this go. Endrel Mr. Huan pretends to be a magician. Xiaobei thought that this scoundrel was completely cooler than the main character. He added that he barely diffused the situation and mentally asked the main character why he was behaving this way. The guy in the green jacket points his finger at the main character and calls him insolent. He asks how dare he talk to the master like that and tells him to kneel down. Bao Hyun says that if the main character just kneels, it will be too much. He adds that he is afraid that he will be judged for humiliating a stupid person. With an evil smile, he offers to argue and tells the main character to wait until he starts casting a spell on Mr. Zia. He adds that if he can prove that he really has magical powers, the main character will crawl out of the bar on his knees. Chu Chen asks what will happen if he doesn't prove it. He put a seal on Zia Bei's back. The young master from the Hyun family puts his hand on his forehead and laughs, and then says that he gives his word. The girl with pink hair says it will be a cool show. The gentleman from the Zia family cries and calls the main character restless. He tells the main character that he knows that these mystical things exist. He imagines a master who uses his strength and says that besides, Bao Hyun studied with the best masters and he would not brag if he did not have the strength. Chu Chen tells him not to worry with a smile on his face and adds that this paper figurine is nothing special. He thought that all these toys did not impress him even at the age of 6. The young master from the Hyun family placed the figurine in Zia Bei's jacket and shouted that he wrote the date of birth on the figurine. He tells the gentleman from Zia to stand up straight until he performs a miracle. The guy in the gray jacket tells the main character to prepare for shame. The gentleman from the Zia family says with an anxious face as if nothing terrible had happened. Chu Chen puts his hand on his shoulder and says don't be afraid, because he will help. Bao Hyun pierces his figurine with a needle and tells Zia Bei to raise his left hand. The gentleman from the Zia family is scared. Beads of sweat run down his face. He thought about how he felt. He doesn't feel anything. What's happening seems like a joke to him. Everyone in the room is silent. The guy in the gray jacket asks Bao Hyun if he is working. He replies that this is just a warm-up for the amusement of the public. He continues to pierce the figure and commands him to raise his right hand. Zia Bei thinks he is being mocked. He wonders why he, too, suddenly thought that Bao Hyun was crazy. The young master from the Hyun family pierces the figurine once again with an angry expression. He thought that he had always succeeded, but today it didn't work out for the first time. The main character looks at the gentleman from Zia and thinks that he could not imagine that the signs that he drew at the age of 6 would help him cope with this spell. The main character, with a malicious smile, asks Mr. Hyun if he really started this just to pretend to be a magician. He says that he already thought that he was cosplaying the old lady Rong Momo with her needles. The main character represents Bao Hyun and his subordinate in ancient Chinese costumes. The gentleman from the Hyun family asks what the main character is talking about. His subordinate calls the main character stupid. Mr. Zia with a fake smile says that Chu Chen is just joking and suggests ending this today. He adds that he and the main character are already about to leave. The main character asks Zia Bei to wait and asks if this scoundrel said that he would kneel before him in case of failure, and adds that he cannot help but keep his word. A guy in a gray jacket breaks a bottle on the table and shouts to the main character that he will still bargain with Mr. Hyun. He tells the main character that he definitely wants to die. The gentleman from the Hyun family snaps his fingers and tells everyone to wait. He asks Chu Chen if he thinks he is worthy of kneeling. The main character asks the guy whether he will kneel or force him. Bao Hyun kneels down. His gaze is very menacing. Veins stand out on his face. He says that he will not tolerate such shame. Everyone present except the main character is shocked. Mr. Zia can't believe that Bao Hyun knelt down in front of Chu Chen. The main character says that he will be patient and tells the guy to get up, calling him an old lady. Zia Bei imagines the main character as an emperor and thinks about why he behaves like a god. Many people in business attire approach them. The main character and the gentleman from Zia are surrounded on all sides. Mr. Zia thought that the reckoning had come. Bao Hyun, with a malicious expression on his face, tells the main character that he warned him. The subordinate of the gentleman in the gray jacket says that if the main character dies, it will be on his conscience. Zia Bei reminds him that he said that he would cover Chu Chen, but there are too many people here now. He adds that he tried his best. The gentleman from Zia stretches his fingers and says that he will distract them and tells the main character to run. The main character with a smile on his face asks why he should run. He dashes towards Bao Hyun, winds blowing around him. The gentleman from the Hyun family puts forward his fist with needles between his fingers and asks the main character if he can come close to him, since he decided to start with the main thing. The main character instantly moved to the gentleman from Hyun and is preparing to grab him with his hand. He took him by the neck and slammed him against the wall, leaving a huge dent in it. The gentleman from the Hyun family is coughing up blood. The main character smiles and tells him that he is already nearby. With a gloomy expression on his face, he asks Mr. Hyun what he will do for him. Everyone around is watching what is happening. The gentleman from Zia asks how the main character did it. It was as if lightning flashed through Xiaobei and the subordinates of the gentleman from Huan. Mr. Xia says that Bao Huan has been practicing martial arts since childhood, and this guy won with one blow. The guy in the gray jacket points his finger at the main character and commands the others to attack Chu Chen. People in business suits with bats in their hands jump on the main character. Xiaobei shouts to the main character to quickly leave with him. People in formal suits stop. Bao Huan shouts to everyone to make way and let the main character pass. A guy in a gray jacket with a puzzled look on his face asks what. The main character releases the gentleman from Huan and says that the old lady has finally begun to understand. He tells Mr. Xia that they are leaving. The gentleman from Xia, with a look of surprise on his face, wondered if he had heard wrong about Bao Huan deciding to let Chu Chen go. He adds that he always fought like crazy until the last minute, and now he allows Chu Chen to leave. The guy in the gray jacket asks his boss if he really will let him leave. The gentleman from Huan tells him to shut up and adds that he only now realized why his abilities disappeared. Beads of sweat run down his face. He thinks that the main character also seems to be able to do something, and the level of his abilities is much higher than his. He turns around and looks at the dent in the wall. He thought that all this performance in his eyes was pathetic attempts. A guy in a gray jacket answers a call on his phone and asks if this is true. He shouts to Mr. Huan and the others and says that they have good news. There are a lot of Rongdong fighters near the bar. He adds that it looks like they are here on Yishaya Wang's orders and are looking for Chu Chen. Bao Huan removes dust from his shoulder and says that it is useless. His subordinate asks why. The gentleman from Huan tells him to go see for himself. He thought that he possessed secret knowledge and knew how everything worked in the magical world. His subordinate is shocked. Many people in business suits lie defeated on the ground. The guy in the gray jacket asks who was able to deal with the Rongdong fighters. Bao Huan, with concern on his face, thought that it was time for them to invite the most powerful magicians to deal with Chu Chen or not to mess with him at all. Mr. Xia asks the main character walking to the car what it was. He points two fingers at the bar and says that there were so many fighters there, and then asks if he killed everyone. The main character laughs and says that he himself did not understand what happened, because it was dark there. He adds that apparently they got there themselves. The main character waves his hand and says that he says goodbye and went to lull his wife to sleep. The gentleman from Xia asks what he just saw, whether the main character knocked everyone off their feet. The main character thought that he only used a couple of techniques that he learned at the age of 6 and apparently overdid it. Song Q lowers his glasses a little and tells the main character that he feels like he is hiding something. Moonlight illuminates a large high-rise building. Yishaya Wang loudly asks if it's true that Rongdong sent people to beat Chu Chen and doesn't know who beat them all, despite the fact that the main character doesn't have a single scratch. Mr. Yi clenches his hand into a fist with an angry expression on his face. He thought that it could only happen if Xiaobei asked a higher power to save the main character. He wonders why the gentleman from Xia is so sympathetic to the main character. Mr. Yi's mom puts an apple in his hand and tells him not to worry and adds that maybe Mr. Xia just has such strange addictions. She invites her son to eat an apple and calm down. The guy removes his hand and shouts that his hand is paralyzed. He adds that as soon as he touches anything, he immediately becomes paralyzed. He asks his mother not to touch him. Yishaya Wang, with a painful face, thought that he had to take revenge on Chu Chen since he dared to do this to him. He adds that let the main character suffer too. The next day, Song Qingpeng looks at the news on his phone, where the picture shows Mr. Xia hugging Chu Chen. The news says that Xiaobei from Yancheng has chosen his first partner, and this is the son-in-law from the Song family. Song Qingpeng laughs and says that Chu Chen is a lover and now it's clear why Xia cares about him so much. He adds that Xia has found a suitable partner. Song Yan tells Song Qingpeng that he has been talking nonsense since the morning. He replies that he is not talking nonsense and the whole city is talking about it, but he just reported the news. He leaves and says that he didn't expect that they not only took advantage of Chu Chen's luck, but also forced him to do such a thing. The girl screams at Qingpeng. The main character with a smile on his face tells his wife that he never paid attention to stupid gossip. The girl says that she knows that the main character is not like that, but she is worried about what Xia will think, because their family is very famous, and this stupid gossip can interfere with their cooperation. The main character puts out 2 fingers and uses magic. He tells his wife not to worry, because the gossiper will definitely get what he deserves someday. The wife replies that the main character knows how to console. They both heard a scream. The girl asks what this heartbreaking scream is. The main character invites her to go and have a look. Someone screams in pain. Song Yan asks what it is. Song Kingpeng cries and asks for help because the snake has grabbed between his legs. The main character looks at the phone and thinks what to do. He assumes that this is already retribution and wonders if he is a seer. The main character, with a smile on his face, calls his wife dear and tells her not to look there yet, otherwise she will get dizzy. He adds that when it comes to saving people, this is his favorite activity. The main character swings his leg with a gloomy expression on his face. He kicks the Song family's cousin between the legs. The main character aims his foot at the snake and says this is a fatal blow from the shadows and now there will be a crunch. Song King runs to his brother with 2 guards and asks the main character to stop, and then asks what he is doing. He points his finger at the main character and shouts that this stupid person is beating his brother and commands the bodyguards to grab him. The main character turns to them with a smile on his face, tells them to wait and asks why they are slandering a good man. He tells them to look here first. The snake lies on the ground and does not move. The main character says that he actually risked his life because the snake grabbed their brother. He asks what he did wrong. Song King thought with a worried expression that this was his missing snake. Song Kingpeng reaches out to his brother and asks him to give him the antidote because he can't stand it anymore. The guy with purple hair tells the bodyguards to quickly take him to the house. Song Yan asks why they took him to the house because he needs to go to the hospital. The main character says that apparently there is some kind of miracle cure in her uncle's house. He notes that the video turned out funny. Mying Song Villa is illuminated by sunlight. Song King shouts that Chu Chen trampled his snake. He sits on his knees and holds a snake in his hands. He shouts that he has been taming it for so many years, and this is a rare snake that only obeyed him. Song Muyin sits on the bed where Song Kingpeng lies and asks him to better help get rid of the poison. He says that he will tell the good news that their elder brother Qinglong has won the favor of one of the daughters of the Huan family and adds that they urgently need to see the head of the Huan family. Song King shouts that this is the most powerful Cheng family. He asks if they can call her bride next time they meet. Song Muyin with a gloomy expression says that Song Ziyang only thinks about intermarrying with the Yi family, but their dreams are not destined to come true. He adds that they need to get closer to the most influential family from Cheng, and with their support it will not be difficult for him to become the head of the family. Sunlight illuminates the large gate. Huan Zhonghong asks Bao Huan if he wrote this, to which he receives a positive answer. The head of the Huan family holds the manuscript in his hands and reads it. He tells his grandson that it is good that no one from Cheng can compare with him in calligraphy, and this time he will win the ceremony. The gentleman from Huan says that he does not deserve praise, because he still has to study and study. He thought that these hieroglyphs were written for him by masters and that participation in the ceremony was not an easy task. The head of the family asks the guy to help him remove the rest of the work that he doesn't want to look at. Bao Huan noticed one of the manuscripts. He saw a signature with the name Chu Chen. He unfolds his manuscript and thought that he did not expect that this ignoramus could write, because he assumed that his maximum was a little magic. He adds that he signed it badly and decides to look at his creation. He opened the protagonist's manuscript. It was as if magical images of a dragon and a tiger appeared before him. The head of the Huan family paid attention to the manuscript. He asks his grandson whose calligraphy this is. Bao Huan covers his manuscript with a frightened expression. Huan Zhonghong reads the manuscript with enthusiasm and says that he really likes this form and content, and that's exactly what he was looking for. He adds that this particular calligraphy will be at the ceremony. The grandson of the head, with concern on his face, tells his grandfather that he wanted to use his calligraphy. The head of the family seems to be beaming. He replies that no longer, because this calligraphy fully reflects everything that he would like to say and adds that his grandson still has to study and study. Bao Huan, with an angry expression on his face, tells his grandfather that this manuscript was written by a stupid guy known throughout Cheng. He added that if the father does not believe, then let him look at the clumsy signature below, and in any case, it was not he who wrote everything himself, but someone helped him. He thinks that Chu Chen has magic, and he also writes better than teachers. The head of the Huan family tells his grandson not to forget that the most worthy was always chosen for the ceremony, and it doesn't matter what kind of person he is, the main thing is his abilities. He adds that his calligraphy is very thoughtful. Bao Huan gets angry and tells his grandfather that he was wrong. He thought that he would wait for the opening of the ceremony, and then he would be exposed and in front of the whole city he would be covered in shame forever. The hospital building is illuminated by the sun. A mother from the Yi family tells her son that no one in this city knows how to treat him and asks him to be patient. She cries and holding her son's hand says that his father found the contacts of the best doctor in Dingcheng, and adds that he urgently needs to be transferred to another hospital. The guy cries and shouts that his arm is paralyzed again and the doctor will not help him. He adds that he needs Chu Chen to come. Mom, with tears in her eyes, asks her son if he wants to take revenge on him and adds that the son should not worry, because yesterday she asked people to start a rumor about his relationship with Xia, and they just need to wait for the Xia family to get angry and break the contract with the Song family. Yishea Wang, with red eyes, holds his neck and tells his mother that he has no time for this now and everything hurts terribly. He adds that Chu Chen somehow learned how to bring him back to his senses, which means he knows how to cure him. The mother of the Yi family realized that this is exactly what the main character is talking about and says that he will find contacts. The main character sits on a chair with a phone in his hand and asks who is calling and adds that he is now going to a meeting with his wife, and then hurries the interlocutor. Yishea Wang, with a painful face, asks the main character if he knows how to neutralize the snake's venom. The main character, with a smile on his face, asks if it was his people who surrounded him yesterday at the Tianhao bar and whether it's normal to call after this. The gentleman from Yi tells the main character to wait and adds that if he helps with the antidote, he promises that he will forget about everything and Rongdong will no longer bother him. The main character says that in this case they can talk, but he has a condition. He says that his father-in-law is not himself due to the fact that the tripartite agreement is not himself all day long. Yishea Wang replies that he will resume cooperation with Song Ziyang and adds that he swears that if cooperation is not resumed, he will be a disgraceful dog. Mr. Yi asked where to get the antidote. The main character with a smile and closed eyes says that to be honest, he doesn't know where to get the antidote. Mr. Yi loudly asks if the main character is being bullied and calls him ungrateful. Chu Chen says to be patient and says that he doesn't know where the antidote is, but he knows who has information about it. The main character sends the video to Yishea Wang. The gentleman of the Yi family looks at how Song Kingpeng was bitten by the same snake. He shouts that this snake bit him too. The main character says that yesterday he was bitten by this snake and he suffered the same. But Song King did not take him to the hospital, but carried him to the family's house and soon he was walking around alive and unharmed. The main character asks if all this is strange. The main character tells Mr. Yi that if he doesn't believe it, he can ask Song Kingpeng himself, and then hangs up. Yishea Wang says to wait, but doesn't have time. He thought with anger in his face that Chu Chen believed that the Song brothers knew how to get rid of the poison and added that when he was bitten by a snake, Song King was there and saw everything and for some reason did not help. The blonde asks his mother to call Song Kingpeng and adds that he needs to personally make sure that Chu Chen is not lying. The main character crosses his legs on the chair and says that he is interested in how his cousin Song Yan will get out. Someone opens the double doors. The fourth uncle of the Xia family is Xia Yanhuan. Walking next to him are Xia Bei and Song Yan. An uncle from the Xia family says that at first he did not believe that their cooperation was possible, but after looking at the Song Yan project, he sees that they can increase their income. He says with a smile on his face that he thinks that within a year their pharmaceutical company will be able to gain a foothold in Chengcheng. The girl replies that it is an honor for them to cooperate with Mr. Xia, and they will work hard. Xia Bei hugs the main character and says that with his wife they will achieve success in one fell swoop. The main character says that of course, but warns him not to look in the direction of his wife. He thought that modesty was not their thing. Mr. Xia asks Grandpa on the phone why he decided to call him. The head of the Xia family shouts at the young master to see what he got himself into and got into a scandal. He asks if he really wants to disgrace their family company and tells him to return home. Xia Bei, with concern on her face, asks her grandfather what he is afraid of, because these are just stupid rumors and adds that their company has just begun to get back on its feet. The head of the Xia family shouts that he doesn't care if it's a rumor or not, but it's a shame for their family. He tells the young master to break off this cooperation now and return home. Xia Yanhuan tells Song Yan that Grandpa just told him everything and adds that it looks like they will have to stop their cooperation. The girl raises her palm and replies that it's okay. The main character snatches the phone from Mr. Xia. Chu Chen, with a serious expression on his face, tells Xia's grandfather that this is his grandson's new lover. He asks if they can discuss this situation. Xia Bei says that this is actually his grandfather. The main character waves his index finger and tells the head of the Xia family that his biggest concern is that he might lose face. He asks with a smile what will happen if, on the contrary, he saves face for them and says that he guarantees that their company will be able to enter the Chengcheng market in 4 months and if they succeed, then the cooperation must continue. Chu Chen's face is covered in shadow. He says that other companies need 2-3 years, but 4 months seems like a miracle. The main character adds that such a short period of time will not only add points to their reputation, but also stupid rumors will disappear on their own. He asks the head if he will miss such a chance. At the other end of the line, the head of the Xia family calls the main character an impudent person and tells him that he is a shameless braggart. Xia Yanhuan is surprised by the information about 4 months. Xia Bei said that the main character was showing off, and his grandfather hated braggarts the most. The head of the Xia family, sitting in front of a large window, says that he especially hates it when braggarts talk self-confident nonsense in front of important people. He adds that he hasn't met such young people for a long time and gives the main character a chance. But if he ends up disappointed, then don't be surprised by the rage. Xia Bei, Song Yan and Xia Yanhuan opened their mouths wide in surprise. The main character hands the phone to the owner and says that everything is captured. The young gentleman from Xia tells Chu Chen that he is great and was even able to come to an agreement with his grandfather. The uncle from the Xia family presses his fist to his chest and says that the main character really has no equal. Xia Yanhuan, with a serious expression on her face, shows 4 fingers on her hand and says that Chu Chen, of course, calmed down his grandfather, but the time frame is only 4 months, and then they ask if they really will do it in 4 months. The main character smiles and says to believe him. He adds that they only need joint action from their pharmaceutical company, and they will definitely succeed. The young gentleman from Xia hugs the main character and tells him that of course he believes him because he chose him. Song Yan wonders why he doesn't have this feeling that they will definitely succeed. Hospital. Song Qingpeng carries a bouquet of flowers and asks his brother and father if Yi Wang wants to talk to them, and then asks if he is going to continue their 3-way cooperation. Song King puts out his hand and says that now they should also enlist Yi's support, and then they will definitely take care of their uncle's family. Song Muyin crosses his arms and says that they will wait for the next family meeting, when the status of head of the family will definitely pass to him. Song Qingpeng with a smug face tells Chu Chen to wait, because when his father is on top, they will torture him to death. All 3 enter the room. Song Qingpeng tells Yi Wang that they came to see him. Song King raises his palm at head level and asks how Mr. Yi is. Yi Wang's mother screams to kneel down with an angry face. The 3 of them drop to their knees with their mouths wide open. Yi Wang asks why they didn't tell him that they could get rid of the poison. Song Qingpeng asks Mr. Yi what he means. He wondered why he was suddenly saying this. Yi Wang shows a video of a snake biting the Song family member standing in front of him. He asks why he has been suffering for days after being bitten by a snake, but he just entered the house and has already recovered. All 3 people sitting on the ground felt shocked and opened their mouths wide. Song Qingpeng thought it was bad because it was filmed by Chu Chen. He wonders how you can get away with this. Song Muyin trembles and says that they can neutralize the poison, but they just wanted to teach Chu Chen a lesson, and did not expect the snake to bite Mr. Yi. He adds that they can provide an antidote and then asks if they can continue the tripartite cooperation after that. The mother of the Yi family throws a kettle at them. She calls them scoundrels and says that they harmed her son and after that they still hope for a good relationship. Yi Wang, with a menacing expression on his face, shouts that he will continue to cooperate with Song Ziyang, and then does not want to have anything to do with them at all. He shouts to give the antidote quickly. Song King holds his cheek, Song Qingpeng lies on the ground and holds his forehead, and Song Muyin sits on his knees with a desperate face and thinks that there will be no cooperation later. The purple-haired brother says that now he will say goodbye to their family for good. The brother with the piercing holds on to the place where he was hit by the teapot tray and says that it's all because of Chu Chen, because he was the one who quarreled between them. He adds that he will kill him if possible. Song Muyin looks at the phone and exclaims with an excited face, "Great." Song Qingpeng turns around and asks his father what he saw. Song Muyin holds his chest and says that their brother wrote that he has settled everything with the 5th daughter of the Huan family, and tomorrow night her father is calling them to dinner to discuss family matters. Song King asks if his brother really succeeded. Song Muyin looks angrily at the phone and thinks that in Chengcheng only the Huan family decides everything, and you need to become related to their family. And even if the Yi family breaks off relations with them, then what difference does it make now? All 3 are standing with malicious faces. Song Muyin looks to the sky and says that they need the support of the Huan family, and they will crush Song Ziyang. He shouts at Chu Chen to wait, because tomorrow he will torture Chu Chen to death and they will look at it tomorrow night. Evening light illuminates the mansion. Lin Xinping talks about how tomorrow evening the Song Muyin family and the Huan family will become related. The father of the Song family asks if this is true. Song Yan, Song King and Zhu Jian are surprised. Lin Xinping says that this is 100% and he saw with his own eyes how Song Qingpeng boasted in front of everyone. Beads of sweat run down the faces of the two brothers. Lin Xinping says that now Mr. Xia will cancel the contract due to gossip, and the three-way cooperation with Mr. Yi will go to the second uncle, and their dad will lose the status of the head of the family. He remembers the funeral and says that his uncle still believes that dad is to blame for his aunt's death during childbirth, and if they still harbor a grudge, they will want to destroy them. The father of the family, with drops of sweat running down his face, turns his attention to the sound. The main character opens the door and says that second uncle is just meeting with the Huan family and nothing is clear about the wedding yet. He goes to his family members and says that they were also worried about something that is still really unknown. He adds that he has news that not only will they not lose contact with Xia, but they will also continue to cooperate with Yi Wang. The main character, with a smile on his face, raises his index finger at shoulder level. Lin Xinping points his finger at the main character and asks him what kind of nonsense this is and where he got this false news from. The main character asks if he doesn't believe it. The main character smiles and says that his source of information is not entirely ordinary, because otherwise how would he have known about the poison needles in the whip? The father of the Song family asks the main character to quickly tell who his source of information is. He thought that if Chu Chen found out about the needles last time, then his source was reliable. The main character asks if his family members are ready. They froze in anticipation. The main character shows the phone, where on the screen a cartoon sponge shows a purple shell. He says that his news source is a magic shell and asks him to feel free to ask whatever they want to know. He adds that the powerful shell will fulfill all their wishes. Song Ziyang and his two sons are confused. The father of the family thought what kind of kindergarten this was. The main character says that he reposted it on his page so that everyone could see it. Lin Xinping calls the main character stupid and shouts at him that now is not the time for games when they discuss the future fate of their family. Song Yan opens the door to the room with family members. She asks her father if everything is here. Lin Xinping points his finger at the main character and tells the girl to take her stupid boyfriend, because he has been acting stupid all day, and also says that Xia has not broken off their partnership. Song Yan takes out the document and says that Chu Chen said everything correctly and suggests looking here. Lin Xinping looks at the document and asks what. The three men are shocked by the document. Lin Xinping asks how it is possible for Mr. Xia to sign the contract. The father of the Song family says that apparently Mr. Xia doesn't seem to care at all about other people's opinions. He asks how it is possible to sign an agreement against the background of such rumors. Lin Xinping points his finger at the main character and says that luck helped him anyway. He adds that Chu Chen said about resuming trilateral cooperation, but this is definitely impossible. The father of the family receives a call. The father of the family is talking to his interlocutor. A bead of sweat runs down his cheek. With a shocked face, he says that Yi Wang just called him and said that he has lost respect. Song Ziyang suggests resuming negotiations. Lin Xinping, Zhu Jian and Song Yan are shocked and ask how this can be. Zhu Jian asks the main character how he did it and points his finger at him. Lin Xinping asks if this magic shell will advise him anything bad. The main character replies that they won't know until they try. It's night outside with a crescent moon in the sky. Both brothers and the father of the family ask Chu Chen to add him to WeChat. The main character tells them not to worry, because he will add everyone as friends. Relatives reposted the shell, and Lin Xinping even replenished the balance of the magic shell by 5,000 yuan. That same evening, Chu Chen's praised magic shell caused a sensation in the Song family, and Chu Chen even earned a couple of thousand. The next day, the main character and Song Yan walk along the path together. The girl tells the main character that their agreement with the Xia family has officially entered into force. She looks at the main character and says that Xia wants the company's office to be in the Jintan high-rise building. The main character asks what the problem is. The girl with a gloomy expression says that Jintan is owned by the Huan family. She adds that when Uncle and Huan become related, Uncle will only have to give a hint, and they will be kicked out of this building. The girl says that in Changcheng only the Jintan Center is the source of all opportunities and resources, and only there they will be able to fulfill the agreement about 4 months. The main character hugs his wife. Her cheeks turned a little red. Chu Chen says he didn't expect his wife to try so hard for him. He looks at his wife and says that he will sort out the office in Jintan. The main character takes out a smartphone from his pocket. The main character called Song Q and told him that he needed to go somewhere. The girl asks the main character what he is going to do and whether he is going to start a fight. The main character with a gloomy expression on his face says that he will not do that. He shows his thumb and smiles, saying that he respects the laws of honest people. Streams of wind sweep near the old mansion. Two men open the double doors. Song-kyu says that he is not afraid and asks why they came here. The guy stands next to the main character and asks him if he is sure that this is a place for the living. Near them there are stands with skulls. The main character tells the guy to wait outside if he is afraid. The guy with a dissatisfied face says who else is afraid. A guy with a stupid expression on his face tells the main character that he is his personal security and cannot leave him here. The main character called out to a guy with brown hair. The guy turns around at the noise. Someone in a creepy woman's mask puts her hand on the guy's shoulder and yells at him to get out of here. Song-kyu's eyes widened in fear. He shouts that there is a demon there, telling his son-in-law that he still has an online lesson, and they will see each other later. The main character with a skeptical expression says that he is not so brave. The main character asks the girl how he can buy this calligraphy brush. A girl in pink clothes takes off her mask and asks the main character if he sees that it is closed here. The girl with blue eyes tells the main character to leave. Her name is Hyun Uyo. She holds a talisman in her hand. The main character asks if she has the Lin Fu talisman in her hand and says that judging by the inscription, she is one of the magicians of the star scattering. The girl asks Chu Chen how he knows that this is a scattering of stars. The main character with a smile on his face says that he is definitely familiar with this trend. He imagines the sage against the backdrop of the starry sky and says that he is, after all, the senior student of the chief magician of the Loyan star scattering. He says that since she is from the younger generation, she should honor him as her mentor. The main character puts his hand on the girl's forehead. She shouts at him to stay away and raises two fingers at head level. She attacks him with magical energy, tears off part of his suit on the sleeve and asks him where he came from, and also defames the name of her teacher. The main character looks at the girl in surprise. A girl with a menacing expression on her face shouts to the main character that until he apologizes, he will not go anywhere. The main character with a worried expression on his face has a drop of sweat running down his face. Chu Chen grabs the girl's wrist. She looks at her hand in surprise. The main character lifts her hand and asks what she is doing. The main character looks at the torn part of the suit on the sleeve and shouts that his wife bought him this suit, but she tore it. He adds that his wife will think that he started a fight again and asks how to explain this to him later. Hyun Uyu wonders how the main character was able to capture her. She notices that he is so strong that she cannot move. The main character holds his hand and says that if he had not promised Master Loyan that when he met the mages of the star scattering, he would take care of them, he would have already extracted compensation from her for the torn suit. Chu Chen snatches the talisman from the girl's hand and says that he will write her his phone number. He says what if there are problems? Then let him call his new mentor. He sticks the talisman on the girl's forehead and tells her to see her, calling her a daring girl. The main character says that he will take the brushes and cinnabar for himself, after which he leaves with these items in his hands. The girl with a dissatisfied expression on her face thought that the main character not only disgraced her teacher, but also ruined her talisman. The girl trembles and discovers that she can move. She clutched the talisman in her hand and thinks that she remembered the main character because he humiliated her mentor and painted the training talisman. She looks at the talisman with an angry expression, where the numbers are now written. She looks at her talisman in surprise and thought that she had been training for several months and could not understand these inscriptions. The numbers on the talisman are arranged in an unusual order. Hyun Uyu says that when he wrote his number, it finally dawned on her. A girl with a red face shouts to her grandfather that she has deciphered the meaning of the talisman. The main character leaves the building and says that even though this girl is a rude person, he had to give her a gift. From behind the curtain, the old man says that only a few months have passed, but she has already learned the essence of the talisman. The old man's name is Hyun Zion. He tells the girl that since she has such abilities, it is quite possible that he will be able to touch the ninth heaven. The girl asks the old man why they need this ninth heaven. He calls her stupid and replies that all earthly talents originate from the ninth heaven. He explains that the gate of the ninth heaven is a sacred place on earth that does not fit into their life framework. Many people climb the stairs leading into the mountains. Hyun Zion says that in the teaching of the ninth heaven there are 9 branches and many spend their whole lives to learn only one branch. And for them, the magicians of the star scattering, the teacher has already granted the opportunity to learn one branch and found a school. The old man says that from the scattering of stars over the past 50 years, only 5 people have been able to join the ninth heaven. Hyun Uyu asks if it is so difficult. She looks at the talisman and says that she was able to decipher this talisman only because this strange guy wrote his numbers, and he just glanced at it. She asks if he is from the ninth sky. Hyun Zion, with a shocked expression on his face, asks her if this man deciphered the talisman with just a glance and why she didn't respect him as a mentor. The girl with a dissatisfied expression on her face crossed her arms and said that he did not look like a mentor, and he looked a little over 20 years old. She adds that he began to brag that their chief elder was practically his brother and then sent him away. The old man asks where this madman got such abilities. The girl enthusiastically raises the talisman and says that she will continue to study hard in order to one day surpass this impudent person. A huge high-rise building against the backdrop of the starry sky. Someone tells Mr. Hyun to come in and make himself at home, and then thanks him for coming to dinner when he's so busy. Song Muyen's eldest son, Song Kinglong, raises his glass of wine and says that it is a great honor for their family. The fifth son of the head of the Hyun family is Hyun Kaid. He smiles and says that the main thing for him is that he takes care of his future Sushu. Hyun Kaid's daughter is Hyun Sushu. A father hugs his muscular daughter with freckles on her face and says that his daughter needs a strong shoulder. The young guy from the Song family takes the girl by the hand and says that her dad is right. He looks into her reddened face with freckles and says that as soon as he saw her, he immediately fell in love, and it seems that she is the only one for him for the rest of his life. The guy with tears in his eyes tells the girl that he swears that he will take care of her for the rest of her life and will love her with every cell of his heart. The girl cries and says that she does too. She takes Song Kinglong into her arms and he hugs her. Everyone except the lovers are sitting at a round table. Hyun Kaid laughs and says that they have discussed matters of the heart. Song Muyen tells Mr. Hyun that their family has faced great difficulties recently, and he wants to ask him for a favor. Their master Hyun laughs a little and says that they are almost relatives and tells them to speak if they have something to say. Song Muyen with a gloomy expression says that the matchmaker must have heard that he has a brother, Song Zeong. He adds that he is not an ambitious person, but his brother is trying to set him up in order to keep his place as head of the family. He holds his head with his hand and cries, and then says that he stole the tripartite cooperation from him and even found a way to offend his sons, and now he no longer knows how to fight back. Hyun Kaid opened his mouth wide and asked what kind of news this was and whether Kinglong was being offended. The girl lowers her groom to the ground. Song Muyen shouts that Kinglong wants to participate in the development of the Jintan Center, but his brother's daughter also wants to go to this center, and they will not allow Kinglong to settle there. He adds that Kinglong does not know how to negotiate and will have to compromise. Hyun Kaid knocks on the table. He calls Song Zeong a scoundrel with an angry expression as he offends his new son-in-law. He grits his teeth and shouts that Jintan is the property of the Hyun family, including him. He adds that they will not even set foot on the threshold of the building. Song Muyen holds a glass of wine and laughs, then thanks the matchmaker. He thought that they would see how Song Zeong would advance to Chengcheng without connections to Jintan. He offers a drink. The main character is standing outside the window. With a smile on his face, he thought that this old fox had again started a dirty game and wanted to harm his wife's business. He writes red paint on his hand and thinks that he has messed with the wrong person. The main character asks if it's boring to just sit and drink. He raises two fingers up and then lowers them down and concentrates energy in them. He says let them play at the moment of truth. Song Kinglong suddenly began to tremble. A bead of sweat runs down his face and he clenches his teeth. Hyun Sushu thinks why her fiancé won't propose to her here. She asks Song Kinglong what happened. The wine rushes straight into the girl's face. He throws the contents of the tank at her and calls her and her father fat, and then says that he thought they would show at least a little respect towards him. Song Muyen touches his son's hand and asks what he is doing. He turns to his father and says that he is just saying what he thinks. The guy pours wine on the girl's clothes and says that his dad saw how powerful the Hyun family is, and if not for this, then why would such a handsome guy need a monkey like her? The girl is shocked. She calls the guy by name. Hyun Kaid gets up from the table and loudly shouts asking the guy what he is doing. Song Kinglong tells the man that he hasn't said anything about him, the old fart. With a mocking smile, he says that he looks at his daughter and sees that he has a talent for nurturing femininity. He then asks if he gave her sports nutrition instead of formula as a child. Head Hyun's fifth son clutches his chest. Song Kinglong asks the man if he agrees and tells him what he will get now. Hyun Sushu slaps the guy in the face and calls him a scoundrel and adds that she didn't expect him to be such a person. She hits the guy lying on the ground and loudly asks if he was playing with her feelings from the very beginning and using her. She grabs the guy by the jacket and says that she is very disappointed in their family. She strangles the guy with her muscular arms and says that they are breaking up. The girl heads towards the exit and tells her father that they are leaving. Hyunkide says that his daughter quickly dealt with the guy and adds that he will block this family at all levels. Song Muyin and Song Kingpeng watch in shock. The guy with the piercing approaches his brother and asks why he said all this. Song King found pink traces on the windowsill and says that he feels a magical trace and assumes that someone was controlling his brother. He asks if there is a magician in Song Xiangyang's family and adds that to control a person like that is definitely the work of a magician. Song Muyin asks if he thinks Song Xiang did this. He turns back and asks how they knew about the meeting with the Huan family and who could have spilled the beans. Song Kingpeng raises his hand. He trembles and says that it is him, because he boasted to everyone that they were going to marry Huan. A father punches his son in the face. The guy flies away from the blow. Song Muyin tells him that he only knows how to do mischief and now everything is covered. He leaves his son behind with a gloomy expression and wonders if Song Xiang wants to destroy everything and adds that he will be glad if he gets a chance to take revenge. The main character walks relaxedly through the city and laughs, and then says that he just forced Song Qinglong to tell the truth and did not think that it would be so prickly. The main character thought he was lost and went the wrong way again. In front of him, a figure hits a pillar and shouts that he is furious. The main character pays attention to this person. He is bald and wears a kimono. He wonders how to get to this bad place. With one of his blows he left a dent in the pillar. The main character tells the guy that damaging state property is not good. The guy, who is much taller than the main character, turns around and clenches his fist. He calls Chu Chen a skinny dog and says that he came to Chengcheng to learn fist fighting. But his phone is a mess and he doesn't understand where to go. The main character with a smile on his face tells him to call a taxi if he gets lost and the driver will take him to the address. A man with a sad expression on his face says that he gets motion sickness and cannot even ride a bicycle. The main character takes out his smartphone and says that he knows where to learn fist fighting and asks to add him as a friend so that he can write how to get there. The man with a smile on his face says that WeChat will scan him now and then asks what his name is. The main character asks him to write it down as Rong Dong. The main character thought that judging by their behavior, their fist-fighting technique was not bad and he remembered how last time Rong Dong blocked him at the entrance to the bar. Urban development, near which many passers-by pass. Song Yan tells the main character that as he said, yesterday the uncle was unable to come to an agreement with the Huan family. The girl closes the car door and tells the main character that she still doesn't believe in this and asks him if he has anything to do with this. The main character laughs a little and asks why he is here. Song Yan covers his face from the sun and says that he doesn't want to gloat. But without his uncle, they can finally choose their office in Jintan. The sun's rays illuminate the Jintan high-rise building. The girl says that you need to try. Chu Chen presses the bell with his foot and asks if anyone is here. He and his wife are sitting on the sofa. The main character uses a smartphone and thinks that he has heard for a long time that the manager Jintan is still a snob and apparently this is showing. He says that in 2 hours no one approached them. Song Yan tells Chu Chen to take his feet off the table because it's not nice. A man comes into the office with a cup of coffee on a saucer. He apologizes for the long wait. He introduces himself as the director in charge of the offices on this floor. Song Yan asks him if he is in charge of the offices on the 21st floor. He goes somewhere and says that they don't have to ask about the price because they won't be able to afford it. The girl asks why. The man sits down on his chair and says that Mr. Yi's office is on the 21st floor and he heard that they were not on good terms with him. He adds that there is also Mr. Kyan's pharmaceutical company, which is a direct competitor for them, and besides, Mr. Yi and Mr. Kyan are good friends. He raises his cup of coffee and says that therefore, in such a situation, it is unlikely that it would be wise for them to choose an office here. He assumes that they won't last even a few days here and will go bankrupt. The main character, with a serious expression on his face, asks his wife what kind of pharmaceutical company this is. The girl replies that this company is owned by the Kyan family, one of the most influential families in Chengcheng. The main character asks about these 5 families. Images of family heads appear one after another. Song Yan says that there are 5 main clans in Chengcheng. The Huan family, the Zhao family, the Sung family, the Kyan family, and their Song family. Now the Huan family is dominant, but the Kyan family should not be underestimated. Their Song family was originally in the top 5, but now they are going through difficult times. The girl tells the director from the Huan family that they can handle it and asks him to give him a chance to try. The main character thought that this director, knowing about the problems of the Song family, was looking down on them. Someone comes into the office and shouts that his colleague has arrived. Everyone pays attention to the person who came. This is young Master Kyan Bushao. He introduces himself and greets Song Yan. The girl greets him back. The director tells Mr. Kyan to sit down. The girl asks the man from the pharmaceutical company if he is, and then says that she is pleased to meet you. The man reciprocates, with a menacing expression on his face. He tells her that she is still new to the business and has already come to Jintan to look for an office. He assumes that Yishea Wang is behind her. The girl asks him what he means. The guy raises his index finger up and says that he and Mr. Yi are good friends and he will not interfere if she is his person. He adds that you shouldn't expect him to be friendly if she's not his person. Song Yan tells the man that he misunderstood her and she has no relationship with Yishea Wang, and her husband, Chu Chen, is next to her. King Bushao says that he forgot that they never agreed on the wedding. He adds that he didn't know that he liked other people's wives, because developing personal relationships is such a nervous thing. The main character lunges and punches the young gentleman from King in the face. The main character grabs his wrist and tells the man that they came here to choose an office, but because of him, they are not talking about business. He asks him if he is normal at all. Song Yan shouts the main character's name with a surprised face. The director calls Mr. Kyan with a frightened face. Kyan Bushao stands up and says that he came here to warn them, but he didn't think that the main character was such an arrogant guy. He adds that after the main character beat up Rong Dong in the hotel in front of everyone, his reputation as a stupid son-in-law was justified. With a bruise on his cheek, he shouts that they should know everyone who wants to start a pharmaceutical business in Changcheng first asks his permission, and since the protagonist, being stupid, decided to start a business, he will crush them like a flea as soon as he wants. He grabs Chu Chen by the collar and asks him if he is really so brave that he will continue to beat him. He shouts to the main character that he can punch him if he is not afraid that their agreement with Zia will fall apart and die. The main character trips him and King Bushao falls. The main character tells the falling man that in his entire life he has never heard such a stupid request. The man almost landed on the ground. While the man has not yet landed, the main character kicks him on the other cheek. King Bushao flies far to the side. He hits his back against the wall and points his finger at the main character. He shouts to the director from Huan to quickly call someone for help, and since the main character behaves like this, it means he will get the full price. Security appeared behind the main character. Song Yan covers Chu Chen with his body and shouts that they can call the police to resolve the conflict, and there is no need to use force. The main character approaches the girl and tells her not to worry, because he has already written a message to Xiaobei, and they will wait until Zia contacts the right person to resolve the issue. The beaten King Bushao, with a crazy expression on his face and screaming, asks if he thinks that anyone cares about them and adds that today they went against the rules, and then adds that he also knows how to break the rules and Chu Chen will crawl for the rest of his life. He orders the guards to capture them. The guards grab the main character and Song Yan. The girl shouts to the main character that they can beat him up and tells him to run away quickly if he can get out. The main character tells his wife not to worry, because later the offenders will still apologize. King Bushao scoffs at the possibility of him apologizing. The director shouts that the main character is delusional. The gentleman from Kyan tells the main character that he is now making fun of him. The director's phone rang. He puts his phone to his ear and asks who is calling at such a bad time. It was the head of the Huan family, Yu Hai. With a gloomy expression on his face, he asks the director if he is on time. The director is shocked by what he heard from the gentleman. King Bushao shouts to the main character that his Song family with such difficulty entered into an agreement with Xia and ended up in Jintan, and now because of his stupidity they will lose everything. He puts a brick in Chu Chen's face and tells him that he will spend the rest of his worthless life in a wheelchair. He grabs the main character's head and swings a brick. Song Yan shouts the name of the main character with a scared look on his face. The director shouts to stop and his fist rushes towards the young master's head. He hits the man and shouts that he shouldn't touch Chu Chen. King Bushao flies into potted cacti. He clutches his face, which is pierced by cactus needles. The director apologizes to Chu Chen and asks if he is okay. The main character asks if he hoped that he wouldn't be okay. The director replies that there was a misunderstanding and he was wrong. Song Yan grabs the main character's hand and tells him to leave quickly. She thought that it was unclear why the director suddenly opened up in front of Chu Chen and added that the office didn't work out, and that's okay, because her husband's safety is more important. The director tells the girl not to leave and that he was acting like a snob, then offers a 30% discount. King Bushao opened his mouth wide and asks the director if he is crazy and if he sees who he is crucifying himself to. The director adjusts his glasses and apologizes to Mr. Kyan, because Mr. Huan said that if anyone in Jintan interferes with Chu Chen, he will fall out of favor with the Hyun family. The young master is trembling. The main character gives off an ominous aura. He thought that he knew that Junior Hyun had respect and disgust for him at the same time, and after all, he had offended a person endowed with divine power, and there could be consequences from this. The director bows and tells Song Yan to go to the office and quickly sign the contract. King Bushao tells the main character that he is rejoicing early, because Hyun Yu-hai said not to touch him within Jintan, and outside he can wait for him. He puts the phone to his ear and with an ominous smile says that Rong Dong, the famous boxer, is his brother, and as soon as the main character leaves the threshold of Jintan, all his legs will be immediately broken. Chu Chen looks at his smartphone and says that he doesn't think that Rong Dong will come to the rescue. The young master with a smile on his face says that his brother will do anything to help him. King Bushao shouts to Rong Dong to quickly come to Jintan. The young master has a frightened face. Rong Dong asks Kian Bushao to come and save him. The main character approaches the young master and tells him that his brother will not come, because now there is live sparring in the Rong Dong Hall. He says that his brother and his manager seem to have lost their minds. Chu Chen shows the guy the phone, where the boss of the scoundrels lies beaten on the ground. At the bottom of the screen it says that the manager of the boxing gym was knocked out live, and the sign was destroyed. The young master asks who was able to beat Rong Dong's assistant. The main character with a smile on his face tells the guy that he asks who beat him. The main character answers who knows and looks at his phone with correspondence with a lost big man, who thanks the main character for showing him the way. He shows the phone screen to the young gentleman and thinks that last time he thought his punches were so-so, but the big guy didn't disappoint him. Song family home. Song Yan tells the main character that luck seems to be on his side. The girl takes off her shoes and asks why. As soon as the main character is nearby, all dangerous situations are resolved. Chu Chen replies that it's probably because he likes to help people. The girl holds her forehead with her palm and says that they are now having a family meeting and therefore asks the main character to behave more modestly. He tells the girl not to worry and adds that everyone knows how modest he is. He smiles, and the girl looks at him with a skeptical look. Family members gathered around a long table. Lin Xinping says that the ceremony is about to open and asks Song Q how he is doing with the lion dance. The guy looked down and said that, to be honest, it's not very good, even if he trains hard. He adds that compared to other participants, his skills are so-so. Lin Xinping says that they did not expect that he could win. Song Yun says that the main thing is that he is not the first from the end. Song King covers his smiling face and says that the only important thing is that he does not disgrace the family. Song Q clenches his hands into fists and loudly says that he wants to take first place for the sake of their family. Zhu Jian replies that he needs to adequately assess his strength and asks how a pheasant can fly higher than an eagle. The main character arrives with Song Yan and tells Song Q not to listen to them and adds that his son-in-law believes that he will succeed. Lin Xinping, with a malicious expression on his face, asks if this stupid person has come to gawk again. Zhu Jian said that it is easy for a stranger to speak. Song King says that it is not for the main character to participate in chat. This is not moving bags. Chu Chen sits down at the table and asks who the other stranger is and adds that you can bet on the lion dance. The main character folds his hands at the back of his head and says that he wants to support Song Q and bet on him. Lin Xinping replies that they also support him and symbolically bet 5,000 on him, and then asks how much the main character bet. He shows the phone screen and says that he bet a little, only 1 million. Those sitting at the table are shocked by this figure. Song Yan asks where the main character got that kind of money. He replies that Xiaobei lent it to him. She asks him in a raised voice if he really borrowed 1 million just to place a bet, and why didn't he discuss it with her. Lin Xinping laughs loudly and calls him crazy, and then says that with 1 million he could start a business. He adds that betting so much money on Song Q is like believing that a baby can win a marathon. Zhu Jian points his finger at the main character and asks if he really didn't even find out anything about the previous winners of the lion dance. Lin Xinping says that for several years in a row, a member of the Hyun family has become the Lion King. He imagines a guy dancing in an orange lion costume. Lin Xinping adds that so many families tried to win, but it was all in vain. Song Q has a bead of sweat running down his cheek. He tells his son-in-law that he appreciates his concern, but asks if he feels like he was throwing money away. The main character winks and tells him not to worry so much, because now his chances are estimated as 1 in 20, and if he wins, they can earn 20 million. Lin Xinping laughs and says that this is only possible in a dream. Song Yun asks if the main character asked his magic shell for advice again. Song King, Song Kingpen, Song Muyan, Song Ziyong and Song Changking come. The current head sits down in his chair and asks his two sons to tell the latest news. Song Ziyang tells his father that they have resumed negotiations with Yi Wang on trilateral cooperation and Ziya's grandfather approved their agreement, which is why things are getting better. Song Q smiles when he hears these words. The old man asks what Song Muyan has there. He gets nervous when he hears this question. He closes his eyes and says that things are not going well for him. Song King and Song Kingpeng made worried expressions on their faces. The old man says that it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, because the status of the head of the family goes to Su Ziyang. The son thanks his father. Song King thought that it was okay, and they would win back. Song Kingpeng thought that Chu Chen would regret it. The old man says that they will continue, because now the most important thing is the lion dance at the city ceremony. He adds that year after year their family is at the bottom of the rankings. He asks his sons to join forces in the sports arena and show decent results. Song Ziyang agrees with his father and stretches his hands. He thought that for the last few years he and his brother had been like cats and dogs, and even if he agreed, it was unlikely that his brother would agree. Song Muyan presses his palm to his chest and says in a raised tone that they will have absolute support for Song Q and will strive for good results. Song Kingpeng and Song King smile evilly. Lin Xinping asks if it's strange that his uncle agreed to cooperate. Zhu Jian says that the fact that he so actively supports Song Q is also strange. The old man asks the second son what he will say. Song Ziyang replies that he agrees, since his brother agrees. The old man announces that with joint efforts they will achieve a worthy result. Song Muyan spreads his arms wide and agrees with his father. Chu Chen tells Song Q that he has some doubts about his uncle's intentions and advises him to be more careful. Song Q responds to the main character that it seems to him that he is exaggerating. The main character, with a serious expression on his face, tells him to be careful because he could die. Song Q replied with a surprised face that he understood. Song Muyan smiles when the main character looks at him angrily and thinks that the hour of reckoning is coming soon. On the eve of the city ceremony, the mansion is illuminated by moonlight. Bao Huan sits on the couch and notices that the Zia company bet 1 million on Song Q. He looks at his phone and laughs, and then assumes that he decided to appease Chu Chen by transferring money to him. With an angry expression on his face, he thought that he had already called his teacher and tomorrow he would expose the main character with his calligraphy, and after the competition his teacher would get even with him. The next day, the opening ceremony of the city. A helicopter with red ribbons flies over the city, ready for an important event. Many people go to the building where the ceremony is being held. Many people gathered inside. Festive fireworks explode in the sky. An old man from the Song family, surrounded by his family members, says that this year there are many more participants than in previous years. Song Muyan shows a man in a lion costume and tells his father not to worry, because this time he allowed Song Qingying to participate, because he has a lot of experience and will help Song Q break through to the top of the rankings. The young guy takes off his lion costume and tells Song Q that they haven't seen each other for a long time. Song Qingying is one of Muyan's 4 sons, the second eldest. Song Q greets his brother. The old man says that he believes that they, 2 brothers, will break through to the top. 2 brothers shake hands. The main character looks at them with a wary expression on his face. The old man is sitting with his 2 sons. Zia Bei calls the main character to sit with him. Huan Bao tells Mr. Zia that he heard about how he bet 1 million on Song Q to appease Chu Chen. Yi Wang, sitting next to him, offers to bet on his team before the ceremony begins. The gentleman from Zia laughs a little and says that none of his relatives would ever bet on him. The main character raises 2 fingers on his hand and says with a smile that this is a worthy answer. Yi Wang says with an angry expression that this is nonsense. Bao Huan smiles evilly and says that he will see who else is left in the cold when the time comes to count the money. Yi Wang has a worried expression on his face. Rongdong agrees with the gentleman from the Huan family. People are beating drums. Song Muyan points his finger and says that the head of the Huan family has arrived. Song Yan and the main character are looking in the same direction. A bald man with a red bandage beats the drums. Huan Zhonghong appears surrounded by his bodyguards. Many people are preparing to dance. One of them is wearing a golden lion costume. He is a gray-haired man with long hair and a short beard. Bao Huan calls him the King of Lions. Lion King Huan Shisun looks very serious and experienced. The host tells everyone to greet the Lion King Huan Shisun. He adds that this is the best expert in lion dance in their city and he has had no equal for many years, and today he will become the first again. Bao Huan thought that the Lion King was his cousin, and he learned battle tactics from the magicians. He adds that he needs to do everything as usual and he can earn tens of millions with his help. Song Yun and Song King with red faces shout that they can earn tens of millions. The main character crossed his hands at the back of his head and thought that nothing special was happening and his birthday as a child was cooler. With a smile on his face, he says that it's a pity that he doesn't participate, because this Lion King would definitely be defeated then. Mr. Xiaobei tells Chu Chen that actually 1 million has already been delivered and said that he better not joke like that. The head of the Huan family says that today, as always, the main part of the ceremony is the lion competition, and after the competition he will name the best calligraphy author, and they will look at his work together. Some call the author of the calligraphy lucky, because getting the approval of the Huan family is like rising to the skies. Song Yan thought with an anxious expression that the hieroglyphs were written by Mr. Nxia, and if they suddenly choose Chu Chen, then Old Man Huan will definitely be angry. Huan Zhonghong leans on his cane and announces that he will no longer detain those present with his conversations and adds that on this beautiful day he declares the Lion Dance Championship open. Many lion dance participants run towards the competition site. Song Qingying shouts that he will cover Song Qiu and invites him to run ahead. Song Qiu thanks his brother. Song Ziyang says that they really help Song Qiu. The old man with a smile on his face says that this is how it should be in a family. Song Muyin confirms his words. He remembers how Song Qingying, with an ominous expression on his face, said that over these few years he learned from magicians how to kill a person and leave no traces. He adds that he will wait until the competition starts and there will be no wet spot left from Song Qiu. Song Muyin, with the same ominous expression on his face, as if addressing Song Qiu, mentally suggested that he first be a darling. Many participants in the competition fell into the water. Song Qingying looks at the losers and thinks that the distance is too great, and he won't be able to jump. Someone ran near him with lightning speed. It was Song Qiu. He is running towards the edge. His brother shouts for him to push off from his back and jump. Song Qiu asks how he can do this. Song Qingying falls to the ground and shouts that he promised to help, and this time it is his brother who is the hope of the Song family. Song Qiu thanks his brother and pushes off his back. He jumps to the other end. He looks back and thought that it seems that his son-in-law was in vain slandering his brother, who seemed to have forgotten about their family differences. Song Changking calls his family close-knit with a smile on his face. The main character rests his chin and thought that things were bad, because Song Qiu seemed to be completely relaxed. Several participants are in conflict with each other. The King of Lions appeared here. Song Qiu thought that he could jump ahead while he was currently fighting his main rival. Spectators notice that Song Qiu has taken the lead. The old man laughs and says this is what the unity of brothers means. Xiaobei says he is surprised and asks if they can win money. The main character watches what is happening with a serious expression on his face. The Lion King overtakes the other participants and shouts that Song Qiu will not overtake him. The guy pays attention to the person running behind him and thinks that the third obstacle has begun and he just needs to jump well. He runs to the edge. The guy looks down and notices that it is too high here and it is very easy to fall. Song Qingying stands in the way of the Lion King and shouts that he will delay him. He turns towards Song Qiu and tells him to jump quickly. The guy finally decides to jump onto the pole, thinking that his brother helped him. Song Qingying made an ominous expression and thought that the time had come. He takes a needle out of his pocket. He threw the needle at his brother. This attack is called Ice Needle Power. The needle hits Song Qiu directly. He feels weak and wonders why he can't move. Song Ziyang says his son's name with concern on his face. Song Yan is also worried about their family member. Song Muyin with an evil expression on his face thinks that this poison acts very quickly. The whole body instantly paralyzes. He adds that they will wait until Song Qiu falls into the water and cannot swim out. The guy falls straight down from the pole. The main character left his place. Chu Chen runs through the water towards the falling Song Qiu. He catches the guy and drags him on his back. He jumps away from the water. He bounces off the wall and practically climbs up. The main character landed at the top with Song Qiu. Song Changking and Song Muyin are shocked. A bead of sweat runs down Song Yan's face. Song Qingying, the Lion King and the head of the Huan family are also surprised by what is happening. The audience observes the situation and discusses why the main character is here. They don't understand how he got up so quickly. Chu Chen turns towards the head of the Huan family and shouts that there was a violation of the rules, because a hidden weapon was used against Song Qiu. He adds that they can refer people and check. Huan Zhonghong is surprised by the mention of hidden weapons. He shouts and asks who is so brave here that he doesn't care about the rules of their family. The bald bodyguard tells the head of the Huan family that the cameras show that Song Qiu has a wound on his arm. Hyun Jong-hong asks if the camera recorded who did this. The bodyguard replies no. Song King-ying with a smile on his face thinks that the poison from the ice needle disappears almost immediately, and besides, the camera was only aimed at Song Kyu, and no one could protect him. Song Kyu regains consciousness. He asks his brother-in-law why he is here. Chu Chen tells the guy that he just almost lost consciousness due to the effects of the poison and someone wants to harm him. One of the participants in the competition takes off his suit and asks if there are those in this competition who want the death of others. He runs away and shouts that he is leaving the game. Song Kyu extends his hand to him and shouts that the competition is not over yet. Song Changking says that Song Kyu no longer has a partner and apparently everything is over. Song Ziyong puts his hand to his forehead and said that the main thing is that his son is okay. Song Muyin says that this time they are at least not the last from the end. The main character picks up the costume of the escaped participant. He turns to the head of the Hyun family and asks him to allow him to perform in place of the escaped member. Song Kyu is surprised by what Chu Chen said. Hyun Jong-hong leans on his cane and says that the escapee was afraid of the hidden weapon and adds that the reason is significant, and then allows him to participate. The main character puts on a lion costume and says that he will control the head. Song Kyu asks his son-in-law if he can do it. The main character replies that he only saw it on TV. Ishea Wong laughs and asks if the main character is joking when he says that he will be the head of a lion. King Bushao shouts that there is no point in reviving a dead horse. Rongdong laughs and shouts that they will watch Chu Chen disgrace himself in front of everyone. Chu Chen looks towards the other members and shouts that he is just the son-in-law of the Song family, but they don't know all of his capabilities yet. He adds that he will now deal with 10 of them in one fell swoop. One of the participants shouts back that their Song family has been at the bottom of the rankings all these years. Another calls the main character an arrogant guy. Song King-ying's eyes glow red. He thought that now Chu Chen will see what the hidden weapon leads to and adds that first he will really anger the participants and they will get rid of it. Song Kyu asks why they all suddenly became so hostile and then asks how they will deal with it. Chu Chen's eyes glow blue. He tells his relative not to be afraid. He kicks one of the participants and shouts that his son-in-law knows how to fight back. 2 participants fall into the water after being hit. Ishea Wong and his company are shocked. Rongdong thought that the main character really knows lion dance. King Bushao asks what kind of person is this Chu Chen. Bao Huan thought that the main character was definitely a magician. He thought that the participation of a magician could lead to serious consequences. Xia Bei raises his hand and calls the main character very cool. Bao Huan asks the others to call all their lions together to knock Chu Chen out of the game, and even if they don't beat him, they will at least prevent him from becoming the leader. Ishea Wong agrees with him with a surprised expression. Participants in the competition jump along the pillars towards the main character. Chu Chen and Song Kyu prepare for battle. The main character smiles and says that he doesn't care who it is. He kicks and misses, and then shouts that they won't be able to withstand even one of his blows. He smiles and says that they even know how to defend themselves. Gold, pink, orange, and blue lions are heading towards the main character. The participant in the golden lion shouts that the son-in-law is stupid, because his techniques only work on young lions. 2 more participants continue his phrase and say that he is still very far from them. Seasoned lions. Song Kyu, with concern on his face, tells his son-in-law that these lions are the most powerful after the king of lions and cannot be dealt with by brute force. The main character smiles and thinks that they are trying to help make money for Bao Huan. The main character and his partner are surrounded. A participant in a golden lion costume shouts to Chu Chen that the King of Lions has already reached the finish line and is waiting for his opponent for the decisive battle, and they can only delay him. The member in the blue lion shouts that their mission is accomplished. Song Kyu tells his son-in-law that since they are at a dead end, they can stop there. After all, they have already gotten far. The main character smiles and tells Song Kyu to lend him the lion and hold on tight. Song Kyu doesn't understand what the main character is talking about. The main character jumps onto another pillar and asks if they thought that he only knows close combat. Song Kyu has snot coming out of his nose. The main character hits the lion costume and the other participants fall from the pillars. He shouts that he did a spin with the lion's tail. 3 lions fall into the water. Ishea Wong and his friends are shocked by Chu Chen's blow. Lin Xinping wonders where the main character got so much strength. Xiao Bei raises his fist above himself and calls the main character a superstar. The protagonist's partner tells his son-in-law that he is strong and adds that all 3 of his main lions have been defeated and they even have a chance to win. The main character asks if he thinks they still have a chance. Song Kingying takes out 2 ice needles. He says that the main character beat only a few mediocre participants and so what? He adds that now all attention is focused on the Song Lion and no one expects his sudden attack. He throws his needles and mentally told Chu Chen to die. The needles rush into the head of the main character. The main character knocks off the needles and asks where the mosquitoes come from. The needles hit Song Kingying's hand. He asks how he could get into himself. Song Muyin shouts that Chu Chen used a hidden weapon. The camera films the guy's hand, and his father claims that it was Chu Chen who threw the needles at him. Lin Xinping points his finger at Chu Chen and says that nothing good should be expected from him. Zhu Jian crossed his arms and exclaimed that this was indeed a hidden weapon. Song Yan wonders what's going on. Zhu Jian turns towards the head of the Huan family and shouts that they saw everything with their own eyes and claims that it is Chu Chen who ignores the rules of their family and cheats. He adds that even though he himself is from the Song family, principles are more important than family ties and asks that the main character be punished to the fullest extent. Huan Zhonghong shouts at the main character that he is shameless for having the courage to use such vile methods at their ceremony. He commands the guards to drag Chu Chen to him. Bodyguards run towards the main character. Song Q asks his son-in-law if he really used a hidden weapon. The main character, with a smile on his face, tells the guy not to panic, because the criminal is only deflecting suspicion from himself and will soon give himself away. Song Kingying is very scared. He thought that he had prepared a double dose for Chu Chen and added that if he fell now, his body would become numb and would inevitably drown. He takes out a black bag and thinks that this won't work. He thought that if he didn't drink the antidote now, he would definitely die. The main character grabs the hand of a falling guy. The guy looks at the main character in fear. Chu Chen says that if the hidden weapon is his, then how did the guy get something similar to an antidote? A large screen shows a close-up of a black bag of pills. The old man asks Song Kingying if he is the criminal. Chu Chen smiles and says that if they don't believe it, then let them carefully look at the cameras, where they can see how this guy wanted to harm him, and the needles accidentally bounced off and flew back. The bodyguard behind the head of the Huan family tells him that he just watched the slow motion and adds that it was Song Kingying who used a hidden weapon. Huan Zhonghong looks at Song Muyin darkly and asks him if he wants to explain himself, and then asks why his son had a hidden weapon. Song Muyin can't say a word. Lin Xinping shouts that he was also the most indignant and apparently wanted to shift the blame onto someone else. Song Changqing shouts that besides, Song Kingying wanted to harm Song Q, and asks why they suddenly decided to go against their relatives. Song Muyin is very scared. The head of the Huan family, with a menacing expression on his face, shouts that his family will now be under supervision and the truth will be established. He adds that he had the audacity to use such vile methods of struggle. Song Muyin is taken away by bodyguards, who is thrown garbage at him. He is called a dishonest deceiver. Song Q says that it turns out that his uncle tried to harm him and tells his son-in-law that he was right. The main character replies that the son-in-law is always right. Huan Zhonghong shouts that they will return to this matter later, but for now they will continue the competition. The lion of the Song family and the king of lions compete in the arena. The host announces that unexpectedly, the Song family made it to the finals. Xiaobei raises his hand up and shouts to the main character to make them champions. Dao Huan with an angry expression thinks that if the Song family wins, then he will have to give all the money he earned to Chu Chen. Huan Shisen stands near the middle of the arena and says that he did not expect to fight a newcomer in the finals. With a calm expression on his face, he says that in the last 10 years he has never seen anything like this. He makes a jumping attack and says that he is not going to make concessions. They attack each other with their legs. The Lion King says that he sees the main character's weaknesses. The main character stops at the edge of the arena. Rongdong shouts to the Lion King to fail Chu Chen. King Bushao shouts that a little more and Chu Chen will lose. Yishea Wang says that it's not for nothing that this guy is the king of lions. Xiaobei asks why Chu Chen suddenly became so weak and is this poison really so strong. Song Yan puts her hand to her chest and worries about her husband. Huan Shisen attacks with a jumping kick. It hits the main character directly. He swings his leg one more time to make another strike. The Song family lion is pushed towards the middle of the arena. Dao Huan with an evil smile did not think that the main character, being a magician, would not be able to cope with his cousin and adds that apparently his level is not high. The head of the Huan family says that after all, the Lion King is their member again. He adds that the fact that their Song family has come this far will certainly affect their ranking in the championship. He suggests that instead of losing shamefully, they choose honor and dignity and surrender now. Hyun Shison towers over the main character. Chu Chen sits on the floor and addresses the head of the Hyun family. With a menacing expression on his face, he asks why he decided that the main character's strength was running out. Hyun Jonghang wonders why he is still holding on. He adds that it is obvious that they have the advantage. The members in the Hyun family lion are trembling. The Lion King gets down on one knee. He looks very tired when he takes off his suit. Everyone present is greatly shocked. Bao Hyun is enveloped in despair. He asks what is happening, because the Lion King beat Chu Chen, and now he has fallen to his knees and is not moving. Hyun Shison took a deep breath and thought that somehow he was calling the audience amateurs. He adds that this is just an appearance. He remembers their fight and thinks that from the outside it looked like he was really beating him. He opens his eyes wide and thinks that in fact he never touched the main character even once. None of his strikes reached their target. Hyun Shison shouts that the main character deliberately opened up and showed all the weak points so that his opponent would hit there and waste all his strength. The main character snapped his fingers and said that he had finally gotten it. The main character says the name Song Kyu. Immediately after this, he attacks the King of Lions with his leg. The Hyun family lion falls into the water. Xiaobei stands up from her seat and clenches her fists. He says with enthusiasm that the Song family has won. Bao Hyun and his friends are shocked. He asks how is it possible for Song Kyu to defeat the Lion King. As Song Muyan and his son are led to the exit, he notices that the Lion King has been defeated. Song Changking says that their Song family won. Tears of happiness flow from his eyes. The gentleman from Xia shouts out the names Chu Chen and Song Kyu. The audience shouts out the names of the two winners. The main character and his relative stand solemnly in the middle of the arena. The main character invites his partner to open calligraphy. Song Kyu gets into a fighting stance. Chu Chen pushes off from his partner's leg. He jumps to the ribbon and unties it. A huge red manuscript unfolds. The main character and his partner are standing near a red unfolded manuscript written by Chu Chen. Spectators admire the beauty of the written manuscript. The head of the Hyun family says that this calligraphy was written by Chu Chen, and that after the ceremony he will discuss the main points of calligraphy with him. A bald spectator with glasses says that he is surprised that he also understands calligraphy in addition to the lion dance. Another viewer calls him a liar. Bao Hyun raises his hand and says that these characters were not written by Chu Chen. He smiles maliciously and says to look at the signature at the bottom of the calligraphy, which is written clumsily. He adds that it is obvious that someone else wrote the calligraphy instead of him. The girl with long brown hair and a blonde man in a blue shirt are talking. The girl says that the calligraphy is so beautiful, but the signature is just terrible. She looks at the guy and says that 100% of it was written by more than one person. The guy calls the main character a fool, since he decided to sign it himself. Xiaobei assumes that Bao Hyun lost the money and therefore decided to take revenge on Chu Chen. Song Yan thought that this was what she was afraid of. Hyun Jonghong asks the main character if these are his characters and adds that this calligraphy represents the Hyun family. With a serious expression on his face, he says that although it is not so important to him who wrote the hieroglyphs, he would still like to clarify the situation. The main character puts his hand in his pocket and says that he wrote this. The head of the Hyun family asks why the signature is different with a gloomy expression. The main character throws up his hands and says that he wrote this and doesn't understand why he should lie. Hyun Jonghong shouts that he gave Chu Chen a chance to confess everything, and the matter is over, but he doesn't mean it in an amicable way. He adds that then he won't be polite either. He commands the guards to take the main character here. The guards climb the stairs into the arena. King Bushao wonders how it was possible to make such a mistake with the signature and laughs. Ishea Wang holds his stomach and laughs out loud. The guards jump on the main character. With a calm expression on his face, he says that he is tired of them. He jumps high up when the guards were about to get him. He grabs the manuscript while it's in the air. Chu Chen lands on the ground and throws the manuscript onto the floor. Xiaobei, Song Kyu, Song Ziyong and Song Yan are shocked by the protagonist's actions. The head of the Hyun family calls what is happening impudent and asks Chu Chen what he is doing. King Bushao suggests that the main character has gone crazy. Ishea Wang with a huge smile on his face says that now it will be fun. Hyun Jonghong shouts at the main character to mean that this calligraphy is the personification of their family. He asks if the main character wants the Song and Hyun family's relationship to deteriorate. Lin Xinping, with a scared look on his face, suggests that the main character wants to die and make them a scapegoat. Zhu Jian shouts that they could die at any moment if they break off relations with Hyun. Song King asks what Chu Chen is doing. Xiaobei with a gloomy expression says that the main character is crazy and they are opening a company in the Huan building. Song Yan covers his mouth with his hand and says the name of the main character. The main character crumples the manuscript and says that he is tired of it all. He threw it behind his back and says that since they all have doubts, then let them give him mascara and a brush. Huan Zhonghong agrees and says that if the main character writes poorly, he will use all the power of his family to punish the Song family. Lin Xinping, Song Yun and Song Ziyang are very scared. Bao Huan crossed his arms and said that if Chu Chen can write, then he will kneel down in front of everyone and ask for his forgiveness. The main character takes the brush and with a smile on his face says that they have agreed. He throws the paper into the air. Chu Chen jumps and brushes the flying paper. He makes one beautiful movement after another, filling the area of the scroll. His movements are like a dance. He throws down his brush and tells the head of the Huan family that he is submitting his modest work for evaluation. Images of a menacing green dragon and a powerful bird of fire appear behind this manuscript. He says that this time he signed normally. Huan Zhonghong doesn't understand how he wrote these characters. Song Yan says that Chu Chen still managed to write such beautiful characters. Xiaobei says that at first he thought that he was just lucky the first time. Bao Huan, with an upset expression on his face, says what does it mean that the main character made such an ugly signature on purpose. The gentleman from Xia puts his hand forward and tells the main character that he knew that he could do it. Song Yan thought that it was good that the main character coped with it and added that the danger had passed. The head of the Huan family, with surprise on his face, says that this calligraphy is even better than the previous one. And if in that calligraphy they felt the power of mountains and rivers, then in this one they seem to be looking at the entire heavenly world. The main character stands against the background of images of a great dragon and a fiery bird. The head of the Huan family adds that this manuscript is filled with great aspirations to conquer the entire world. Huan Zhonghong closes his eyes and tells the main character that he was unfair. He adds that Bao Huan defamed Chu Chen in front of everyone and is in no hurry to apologize. Bao Huan stands with a very scared expression on his face. He gritted his teeth and thinks that not only did he lose all the money to him, but now he is also forced to kneel in front of this stupid guy in front of the whole city. He tells Chu Chen that maybe he doesn't have to kneel down, because it would be a big shame for him. He asks the main character to spare him and promises that he will definitely help him out in the future. The main character turns around and with a creepy expression on his face asks if he had any thoughts of sparing him. Bao Huan gritted his teeth. He falls to the ground. Bao Huan apologizes to Chu Chen while sitting on the ground. Rongdong gritted his teeth. Yishia Wang and King Bushao opened their mouths wide. The head of the Huan family tells Chu Chen that he wants to apologize to him and adds that as compensation, he invites him to their dinner party today. A gentleman from the Xia family calls dinner with the Huan family a worthy reward and adds that it is a great chance to make acquaintances with local tycoons. Song Yan smiles as she looks at her husband. The main character replies that he will come for dinner. Xiaobei clenches his hands into fists and shouts that since they won, the million that Chu Chen bet has now turned into 20 million. He calls the main character handsome. Song Changking, surrounded by the rest of the family, thanks the main character for averting trouble from their Song family. The old man exhales and says that he did not expect such meanness from Song Muyan and adds that he and his sons are no longer part of their family. The old man turns back and shouts to the family members that they also unfairly blamed Chu Chen before, and then asks them to apologize. Lin Xinping asks the main character for forgiveness. He replies that everything is fine, they are family after all. Bao Huan clenches his fist as hard as he can, with a very angry expression on his face. He thinks that the main character dared to disgrace him and now he will do everything so that he does not return from the dinner party. Dinner party at the Huan family home. Many people go to the big mansion. The main character eats one of the dishes. In the background people drink alcohol. The Song family eats in silence while the others drink in a cheerful atmosphere. The old man takes the glass and sighs. He brings the drink to his mouth and says that there was a time when their Song family shone and was held in high esteem and he didn't think that tonight no one would even come up to them to exchange pleasantries. One of the maids approaches the main character and tells him that someone wants to see him and asks him to follow her. The main character follows the maid. The main character asks who could need him in such a gloomy place. The maid falls to the floor. Chu Chen smiles and thinks that the girl just came in and immediately lost consciousness, and then asks if there is a magic circle here. He adds that the stranger's intentions are completely unkind. The main character puts his hands in his pockets and says that he knows that someone is here and asks him to come out. From the shadows, someone tells the son-in-law that he offended his brother from their sect of black magicians and he will repay the same. He notified Chu Chen that he had already entered his magic circle and would probably not last long. The main character smiles and says that he is Bao Huan's mentor. The main character dispels the magic circle and shouts at him to get out of here. Blue energy struck the black magician. He coughs up blood. He falls near the main character and calls this technique the Kainkun step, and then adds that the main character used the most primitive Kainkun step and was able to destroy his magic circle. He asked the main character who he was. The main character takes a step towards the offender. He tells him that since he is the teacher of Bao Huan, he can say his Bajai. He tells the magician that he himself can look and find out who he is. The black magician agrees and thought that Chu Chen was stupid, because who in their right mind would tell a magician his date of birth according to Bajai, because this is tantamount to death. The main character smiles and tells the magician to listen carefully to his Bajai. Beads of sweat run down the magician's face when he performs Bajai. 10 minutes later, Bao Huan walks to the door and thinks about secretly asking his teacher to take action. He hopes that Chu Chen is already on his knees and begging for mercy. He opens the door and asks the mentor if he has everything sorted out. The young master is shocked by what he sees. His teacher is foaming at the mouth. He holds the teacher and asks if he is okay. The teacher slaps his student in the face and calls him stupid. With a distraught face, he asks Bao Huan if he knows the person of what rank he contacted and adds that if he does not ask for forgiveness, he will be kicked out of the black magician sect in one fell swoop. The young master from the Huan family holds his hand to the place of the blow and asks why he will be kicked out of the sect. The teacher holds his hand and tells the student that he is not supposed to know. The magician thought that judging by Chu Chen's horoscope, he was protected by the highest deities, and this only happens to followers of the ninth heaven, and apparently the main character occupies not the last place in their hierarchy. The main character returns to his place. Song Yan asks him where he has been. He replies that he went to the toilet. Ishaya Wang watches Bao Huan as he walks with a glass of wine. He and everyone around him watch what is happening with a malicious smile. The gentleman from Yi says that he is going to Chu Chen's table. Rongdong says that he will start to provoke him anyway. King Bushao says it will be a spectacle. Bao Huan names the main character. Chu Chen turns towards him. He says that he drinks this glass for him and asks him to forgive him for today's misunderstandings, and then adds that he hopes that he can forgive him. Ishaya Wang and his friends are shocked by what the Huan family did. Chu Chen and Bao Huan clink glasses. The main character says that he forgives him and adds that any child can make a mistake. He thought that of course he needed forgiveness, because his teacher had already reported everything. Bao Huan thanks the main character. Ishaya Wang and his company shoutingly ask why he begs Chu Chen for forgiveness and even bowed to him. The young master from the Huan family tells the main character that his grandfather wants to see him. He gets up from his seat. Chu Chen approaches the table of the Huan family head. Huan Zhonghong tells the main character that he showed himself wonderfully today, and he decided to fulfill any of his requests. Mr. Her's group gritted their teeth. Rongdong shouts that he can immediately rise to the skies. Hershaya Wang pays attention to the words about any requests. King Bushao calls Chu Chen lucky. The main character calls the head of the Huan family poor and asks what is wrong. He replies that this is his old sore and adds that as long as he does not drink alcohol, everything is not so bad, because he will endure a little and everything will go away. Chu Chen says he knows what to ask for. He says that he wants the head of the Huan family to drink wine on time every day. The head of the Kaiyan family gets up from his seat and asks if the main character is crazy. He adds that everyone knows perfectly well that Mr. Huan cannot drink because of his illness. Chu Chen replies that he will prepare a special medicinal tincture for Huan Zhonghong, and in 7 days the disease will disappear. The head of the Kaiyan family replies that their pharmaceutical company has not been able to find a cure for Mr. Huan, and he says that the disease will go away in 7 days. He points his finger at the main character and says that on top of everything else, he beat up his grandson Kaiyan Bushao in the Jintan building. He adds that he swears on behalf of the entire Kaiyan family and swears that he will not be able to develop his pharmaceutical company in Chengcheng. Chu Chen smiles and asks what will happen if he cures Mr. Huan and they can still strengthen the position of their company. The head of the Kaiyan family replies that if the protagonist fulfills both conditions within 3 months, he will apologize to him in front of everyone. Otherwise they will have to leave Chengcheng. The main character, with his hands in his pockets, says that they have agreed and everything needs to be thought about the development of the company. He adds that for now he can prepare the tincture for Huan Zhonghong and it is very important that he remember to drink it on time. Song Yan looks at her husband enjoying the food and thinks that Kai and Company is just a pharmaceutical giant, and Mr. Huan's illness cannot be cured so easily and everyone knows it. Shop star scattering. The main character stands near the store and asks if anyone is here and says that the teacher needs to buy something. Huan Zion leaves the store and asks the main character if he last time said that he was a student of their main teacher. Chu Chen replies that this is true and asks if they have the ingredients to make the 7-star talisman. The old man says that he saw the main character at the Huan family party and asks if he wants to use the talisman to heal the head of the Huan family. He asks if the main character knows what his illness is. The main character replies that Huan Zhonghong is not sick with anything, but that ordinary black witchcraft has been cast on him. The old man, with surprise on his face, asks if he was really able to see black magic and adds that it is very difficult to find out exactly what kind of ritual was performed. Chu Chen presses his palm to his chest and says that no matter whether it is difficult or not, he saw it and now must fix it, because it is his duty. The old man grabs the main character by the hand and calls him an arrogant child, because only the followers of the 9th heaven have the right to take responsibility for eradicating black evil. He asks the main character to let him see who he really is. The old man reads the bajai of the main character. He falls to the ground and asks if this is really the disciple of the 9th heaven. Chu Chen picks up the old man and says that he is also the follower brother of the main teacher of the Loyan Star Placer. The old man kneels down and shouts asking the main character if he is really their teacher. Huan Zion folds his hands in a bow and asks the main character what branch of teaching he has. Chu Chen replies that he has learned all 9. The old man bows very deeply and asks how he did it. He thought that for an ordinary person to know one branch of teaching is already a rare success, but this master knew all 9. Huan Uyu, who has just woken up, goes to them and asks her grandfather what he is doing here so late, and why he is making such a fuss about the customer. The old man shouts to pay respects to the teacher. The girl asks her grandfather what he is doing. She asks her grandfather why he is on his knees and if he is having a stroke. He replies that no, he just saw a high-flying bird. The main character leaves the store with a paper package tied with a rope. The next day, Huan family home. The main character asks if Song Q is there and says that he needs to hand over the tincture personally to the head of the Huan family. The guy walks with a jug in his hand and answers that it will be done. Song Q is stopped by 2 bespectacled bodyguards. Mr. Huan's grandson named Huan Yuxu stands behind his guards. He asks the guy from Chu Chen if he came and brought the tincture. Song Q shows a jug of tincture and says that he brought the tincture and asks if he can give it to the head of the Huan family. Huan Yuxiu, with a calm expression on his face, slaps the guy in the face. He snatches the tincture from his hands. He looks at the jug and says that the grandfather is sick and does not understand how you can give him this crappy swill. Song Q asks them what they are going to do. The bodyguards hit the guy on the legs. He falls to his knees. They grab his hands. Huan Yuxiu, with a gloomy expression on his face, asks how his grandfather can be offered this rubbish. He says that Song Q that it will be just right for him. They pour the contents of the jug into Song's mouth. Q, the grandson of the head of the Huan family, leaves and asks the guards to beat the guy properly. They beat the guy with their hands and feet. A few hours later, the Song family's house. Song Q lies in bed beaten. Family members gathered around him. Song Yan asks why suddenly Huan Yuxiu beat her brother because he only brought a healing tincture. Su Yuexian turns back and shouts that this will not work and she will demand justice for her son. Zhu Jian says this is the Huan family. Lin Xinping says they can only accept it. Song Yan says with a sad expression that it is hard to believe that the Huan family would treat them like this for no reason. The main character comes in a coat and tells the mother of the family that he sent Song Q to Huan's house, and they dared to raise a hand against him. He says with an angry expression that he will come there and take revenge. Song Yan exclaims that if the main character takes revenge, he will put their entire family at risk. Zhu Jian asks him if he is really looking for death. Lin Xinping puts his hand on Chu Chen's shoulder and asks if he can hear what he is being told and adds that if he goes, he will do even more harm. The main character slaps the guy in the face and tells him, calling him a rag. Lin Xinping holds onto the impact area. Song Yan tells the main character to go. He turns to her. The girl tells her husband to come back soon. He smiles and replies that of course. Huan family home. It's raining and lightning is striking. One of the bodyguards asks the main character how he got here. Huan Yuxiu keeps his hands in his pockets and asks who dared to make a scandal here. The main character goes towards the offender. There are many defeated bodyguards around him. The main character straightens his shirt and asks the red-haired man if he is Huan Yuxiu. The frightened man asks Chu Chen what he needs. The main character hits a guy in the face. The grandson of the head of the family holds onto the place where he was hit. The main character hits Hyun's legs. Yuxu loses his balance for some reason. He takes the water hose. He grabbed the guy's face so that his mouth opened. The main character pours water from a hose directly into the offender's mouth. With a gloomy expression on his face, he says, "Here is our answer." Many people in traditional clothes are running in their direction. One of them calls Chu Chen a scoundrel and asks him to quickly release the master. Hyun Yuxu tells the main character that he is going to die and calls him a stinking dog. Warriors surround the main character. The grandson of the head of the Hyun family says that these are black light warriors trained by the most powerful magicians. He commands them to break Chu Chen's legs. All the warriors jump on Chu Chen, preparing to attack him. The car stops at the gate of Hyun's house. Song Zeong gets out of the car and shouts to the main character to come back. He runs and thinks that he did not expect that the main character would take revenge without his knowledge. He thought that he knew that he was a fighter, but the Hyun family had black light warriors. He represents an old man, a guy in a hood, a man with a sword on his back, a warrior with a shoulder pad, and a warrior in a blue kimono. He thinks that black light warriors are an ancient force that is passed down from generation to generation by the Hyun family, and they are trained by the strongest magicians. He adds that anyone who met them on their way might not return home. Song Zeong stands at the gate. He thought that even if Chu Chen was injured, he had to take him home. He leans on the gate and thought that in the worst case, he would take care of him for the rest of his life. He opens the gate and tells the main character that he has arrived. Around the main character lie beaten warriors of black light. One of them has a swollen face, the other is lying against the wall with a dent. The main character holds one of them by the collar. With a surprised look on his face, he asks Chu Chen if he did it. He asks his father if he also came to hit someone. Song Zeong grabs the main character's wrist. He takes the main character away from here and, not understanding what he said, says that they need to run away quickly. They leave by car. Song Zeong sits behind the wheel and thinks that, contrary to all expectations, Chu Chen simply destroyed the Black Light Warriors, and now the response from the Hyun family will not keep him waiting long. The main character says that he acted rashly, but could not restrain himself when he saw how they treated Song Kyu. Song Zeong with a smile on his face tells the main character that he did everything right and adds that today he really defended the honor of their family. Chu Chen is silent out of surprise. He puts his hands on the back of his head and says thank you to his father. He replies that he thanked him on behalf of Song Kyu. Song family home. Powerful purple lightning strikes the ground. The Song family members are shocked that Chu Chen really went to Hyun's house and beat everyone up. Song Zeong sits on a chair and says that they now need to unite to accept the challenge, and now they will wait for the revenge of the Hyun family. Song Changking enters the room with the butler. He says that there is no need to wait anymore. He looks at the sky and says that the Hyun family just announced a boycott of their family. Ju Jian, Song King, Song Yun and Lin Xinping are shocked by this situation. The butler sits the old man on a chair and he says that now their partner companies are urgently canceling all their agreements and in one world they will suffer huge losses. Lin Xinping turns to the main character and asks him whether he is happy, because a boycott of the Hyun family will destroy their entire business. With an angry expression, he suggests breaking all ties with Chu Chen. Ju Jian says he thinks Chu Chen should go to the Hyun family and ask for forgiveness. Song Yun says let him settle things with Hyun. The main character drinks tea and says not to worry, because they will be able to survive this crisis. He says with a smile on his face that this situation can help their family regain their former glory in Chengcheng. Lin Xinping points his finger at the main character and says that he is delusional. Song Yun asks Song Zeong why doesn't he kick out the main character. Song Ruhai takes the phone to the old man and says that it is Hyun's grandson calling. The old man asks to turn on the speakerphone. Hyun Yuxiu asks if the Song family has felt the joy of their boycott. Family members listen to the voice from the phone. The muscular grandson of the head with bruises says that he is giving them one last chance and adds that all they need to do is apologize to their family to all of Chengcheng and he will immediately remove all restrictions from them. Song Changking, Song Zeong and Song Yan's mouths open in surprise. Lin Xinping and Zhu Jiang and their wives say this is their chance. The main character asks to hand over the phone to him and takes it in his hand. The main character with a gloomy expression on his face tells the grandson of the head that, in fact, he was the one who started it. He advises to quickly apologize to the Song family, otherwise it will only get worse. Chu Chen presses the call reset button. Lin Xinping asks the main character what he is talking about and calls him crazy. Hyun Yuxiu turns to his subordinates and tells them to keep putting pressure on the Song family until they break. At the same moment, the entire Chengcheng learned that the Hyun family was boycotting the Song family. The guy in the black cap, looking at his smartphone, says that the small Song family never admitted defeat. The man in the green jacket said that the Song family crossed the Hyun road. The blonde said that the ants decided to fight the elephant. All the residents think that the Song family is doomed. Yi Huang, Rong Dong and King Bushao drink beer. The gentleman from her laughs and says that let Chu Chen go crazy and they will watch how he dies. This entire situation led to discord within the Song family. Lin Xinping and Zhu Jian are sitting in a car with their wives. They say that they need to leave the country on business. Their car drives away, leaving the mother and father of the family at the gates of the mansion. After 3 days, an overcast sky with clouds rises above the Song family's mansion. Song Changqing grabs his forehead and says that due to pressure from the Hyun family, all their accounts are blocked. Song Ziyang, Su Yuexian and Song Yan listens with concern to the old man's words. Xiaobei hands the black card to the old man and tells him not to worry, because he still has a few million to open the company, and can help them survive for a while. The main character asks how many days this money will last them. The old man replies that for about 3 days. The main character with an inspired expression on his face says that 3 days will be enough. He calculated that if they held out for 3 days, they would be safe. 3 days pass. At the Hyun family mansion, the head says that he needs to drink Chu Chen's tincture. He puts his hand to his stomach and thinks that he has no appetite at all and will take a couple of sips since he promised the guy. He drinks a glass of tincture. Hyun Jonghong thought with a surprised expression that he felt much better because of the tincture. Lynx, the head of the Hyun family, goes to see his grandson. He asks if Chu Chen gave him the tincture and why there is so little of it, considering that it needs to be taken for 7 days. The head's grandson smiles and tells his grandfather that this low-grade swill will only harm him. He adds that when the tincture was brought, he poured most of it out and tells the old man that he need not thank him. Hyun Jonghong hits his grandson on the cheek and calls him stupid and asks why to thank him. The head of the Hyun family shouts that this tincture works wonders, but he dared to pour it out. He tells his grandson to go to Chu Chen now and apologize to him, and then ask for more tincture. Hyun Shisen says he has boycotted the Song family. The head of the Hyun family asks why the sudden boycott. The guy shows bruises on his torso and says that he did this because the main character beat him. Hyun Jonghong asks if Chu Chen really dared to do this to her. Rain pours against the background of the night sky. The butler tells the head of the Song family that there is another call from Hyun's house. He brings the phone and says that they wish to talk to Chu Chen. The main character takes the phone and puts it to his ear. The head of the Hyun family said that he did not expect that he could beat his grandson. Hyun Shisen smiles maliciously as he stands behind his grandfather. Hyun Jonghong orders them to immediately apologize to their family and take the medicinal tincture with them, and then he will remove all restrictions from them. Chu Chen smiles and asks if they should apologize when it wasn't them who started the fight and adds that he has one condition if they need the tincture. He says that let their grandson apologize, kneeling in front of the whole city, and there is nothing more to discuss. The head of the Hyun family turns to his grandson and says that he was told that he was the one who started first. Hyun Shisen puts his hand on the back of his head and says that the Song family sent a man with the tincture, and he seemed cloudy, and therefore hit him. The head of the Hyun family hits his grandson in the face and calls him stupid, saying that after all, he was the one who started it. Song Ziyang asks the main character if he is sure that his attitude towards the Hyun family is correct. Chu Chen crossed his arms and said that in a couple of hours they will see how they will apologize. Hyun Jonghong says that if Yuxiu was the first to start a fight, but now the Song family is also putting forward conditions despite the fact that he only prepared a medicinal tincture. He turns to his subordinate and asks him to invite Hyun Zion, adds that he doesn't believe that he won't be able to make the same tincture. An hour later, a subordinate comes into the office and says that Hyun Zion flatly refused to come. The head of the Hyun family asks how this is. The subordinate with concern on her face adds that he also said that Hyun Jonghong has messed with the wrong person and it is better that they quickly apologize to the Song family. The head of the Hyun family hits the table out of indignation that some tiny family wants his apology. He is shaking due to pain. He clutches his stomach and says that his stomach hurts again, and this time the pain is even worse. The subordinate says that the old man said that this disease will lead to death very soon, and if he wants to live, that only Chu Chen can help. The head of the Hyun family turns to his subordinate and asks how it is. Song Changqing looks at his smartphone and says that all the money has already been spent, and in an hour, if the Huan family does not lift the restrictions on them, they will go completely bankrupt. Song Ziyang, his wife, and Song Yan is shocked. The young girl turns to her husband and asks if she is sure that everything will work out. Chu Chen, with a smile on his face, says that they will see everything themselves. The butler enters the room and shouts that the grandson of the Huan family and a bunch of reporters are at their gate. Song Ziyang asks what they are going to do. Su Yuexian assumes that they came to seal their house. Song Ruhai says they are live reporting the Huan family's grandson apologizing on air. Huan Shisen sits on his knees in front of the Song family's gate. At the same time, in one of the city bars, King Bushao laughs with a glass in his hand and says that the Song family is finally under sanctions and they need to celebrate this. Yishea Wang offers a drink and says that he has not liked the Song family for a long time. Rongdong shows the smartphone with the live broadcast and asks others to watch. Mr. Yi's pupils shrank. The gentleman from the King family opened his mouth. Rongdong says that Huan Yuxiu at the Song family's house apologizes on his knees on live broadcast. In the stream, the grandson of the Huan family sits wet from the rain on his lap. Yishea Wang spits out his python. The gentleman from the King family shouts loudly. The grandson of the Huan family apologizes to Chu Chen with his eyes closed. He turns his gaze towards the mansion and begs the main character to save the head of the Huan family. He adds that all restrictions on the Song family have been lifted and all losses will be compensated. Huan Shisen lowers his head to the ground and begs the main character to save his grandfather. The gates to the mansion open. The main character approaches a guy with an umbrella and a jug. The grandson of the Huan family thanks Chu Chen and says that big people have big hearts. Purple lightning strikes above high-rise buildings. On the same day, the news that the Huan family apologized to the Song family caused a sensation. All residents were shocked by this development of events. Lin Xinping and Zhu Jian are at the hot springs with their wives. They discuss an apology and reparations for the Huan family. All cancelled contracts were restored, and the partners began to treat the Song family with even greater respect. Yishea Wang, accompanied by Rongdong, tells the protagonists that they have come to renew their three-way cooperation. The head of the Huan family began to recover after the protagonist provided him with his medicinal tincture. He gets out of bed and does not believe that his illness has passed. Just one jug of tincture caused all these events and led to the so-called butterfly effect. The main character with a book in his hand looks at the empty cup and says that the tea is over. They pour water into his tea. Song Ziyang holds a teapot in his hands and tells Chu Chen that this is his tea. Su Yuexian, holding a cup, tells the main character to be careful. He takes a cup of tea and thanks mom and dad. Sons-in-law who left the country with their wives appear. Lin Xinping says they are back. Zhu Jian asks if everything is fine with them and reports that they have just finished all their business. The father of the family and his wife pass by returning relatives. Song Ziyang tells them that they return just in time. His wife sarcastically calls them the best sons-in-law. The two returning men follow their parents and say that they will explain everything. The main character drinks tea and his wife smiles. 1 week later, Song Q trains in the field bare-chested. He screams and shouts the word infuriating several times. The main character behind him asks if his wounds have healed. The guy clenches his fist and says that's not the point. He says that there is a man in the city named Ch Zhaoshan, who has already defeated all the Chengcheng boxers. He remembered how this man stood up to his opponent and raised his hand up. Song Q says that this guy said that their Nanquan sucks. The guy says that he wants to challenge him to a fight and defend the honor of their fighting style. The main character asks a relative what he is currently developing. He enthusiastically replies that the complex consists of 13 fists. The main character covers his mouth with his hand and says that this really sucks. Song Q asks his son-in-law what he is saying. Chu Chen, with a smile on his face, says that he will now show a couple of techniques. The guy asks the main character if he understands fist fighting. He replies that of course and puts his hand forward. Streams of wind gather around his hand at the moment of impact. He says that this is an ancient martial art. The rock remained intact and unharmed after the impact. Song Q tells the main character that his style sucks even more. Chu Chen asks if he really thinks so. A young guy comes to the back of the rock and asks what that loud sound is. The other side of the rock has been destroyed. Song Q is shocked. He looks at the main character in fear and asks how he did it. Chu Chen replies that it is an ancient martial art. He smiles and tells his relative that if he can learn one of the moves, then he can definitely defeat this guy Ch Zhaoshan. A day later, a bald man defeated his opponent in the boxing ring. He points his finger at the defeated enemy under his feet with a menacing expression on his face and says that today he defeated the strong fighter Nanquan from the Huan family, and then calls Nanquan crap. He asks if anyone else wants to fight him. One of the spectators notices that all the fighters from the Hyun family lost. Another guy asks who else would want to fight him. Song Kyu stands at the top of the stairs next to the main character and shouts what he can. Chu Chen says that this is a representative of the Jingyu Association from the Song family Q. The young guy is welcomed with everyone. Xiao Shan made a displeased face. The audience turns towards Song Kyu. A big man waves his hand and says that he is not going to hit the children. Someone from the crowd shouts at the boxer from the Song family not to come out so as not to disgrace the Nanquan style. The main character asks the big guy if he remembers him and asks for the courtesy of having his brother-in-law fight him. Xiao Shan remembers that the main character helped him find his way. The big man with a smile on his face tells the main character that he will help in return, showing courtesy. But fighting with a young guy is too boring. Xiao Shan spreads his arms wide and yells at everyone to bet on him breaking the guy first. He asks what to break, an arm, a leg, or can it make him disabled? Spectators place bets immediately. One of them bets on disability, another on a broken arm, another viewer bets that Song Kyu is paralyzed. The main character shows his index finger and says that he will also make a bet. He bet that Xiao Shan will be knocked out. The audience looks at Chu Chen in surprise. They start laughing and say that this is impossible and the main character wants to throw money away. The bald man laughs and tells the protagonist to place his bet. Song Kyu, with an anxious expression on his face, asks his son-in-law if he can handle it. The main character replies that of course and tells him to just use the technique he showed. Song Kyu stands opposite his enemy in the ring. The leader announces the start of the battle. The young guy from Song thought that although his son-in-law showed him the ancient art yesterday, he had only trained it for one day and was not confident in himself. Xu Jian raises his hand and jumps on the guy. He shouts that so many spectators have placed bets and he cannot disappoint them. He makes a crushing blow, but the guy dodges. Song Kyu thought with a frightened expression that his enemy was strong. Xu Jian throws a lot of punches at the dodging guy. He shouts Song Kyu that he will not hide from the fist. The main character tells his brother-in-law, who is pressed to the edge of the ring, not to be afraid and not to run away, but to defend himself. Xu Jian jumps on the main character and shouts that this time he will not hide from his death. The big man's blow almost reaches the young guy. He thinks that he will definitely not have time to escape and will try to make a counterattack from the ancient art of Chu Chen. The main character tells the guy to use it. Viewers say that Song Kyu is doomed and they are preparing to call an ambulance. He hits the big guy, who immediately falls to the ground. The big man's cheek was swollen. Chu Chen says that someone else will need the ambulance. Xu Jian left a dent in the ground and is knocked out. The spectators open their mouths wide and ask how it was possible that this guy defeated Xiao Shan with one hit. Han Song Kyu is shaking. He thinks that it was because he only delivered a counterattack, as Chu Chen taught. He wonders how he could knock out the big guy with one blow. The main character collects bets in his bag and thanks everyone for their support. Song Kyu raises two fists above himself and laughs, and then asks who said that Nanquan sucks and adds that it was his style that helped him win. The big man appears behind the young guy. He shouts to the guy that he was able to win because he took him by surprise by attacking suddenly. Xiao Shan is about to grab Song Kyu shouts to him to come here. The guy shouts that this big guy is attacking on the sly. The main character pushes away his brother-in-law's opponent. His fist is smoking after the perfect blow. He tells the big guy that he talks about surprise attacks, but he himself attacked faster than anyone else. Xiao Shan, whose nose is bleeding, thinks about how much pain he is in. The spectators are shocked and notice that the big man received even more than last time. He can barely stand on his feet and trembles, and then tells Chu Chen that he suddenly attacked and this is an unfair victory. The main character says that he used his own methods against him and asks if he really doesn't know how to accept defeat and if he wasn't taught this. The audience opened their mouths wide when they saw that Xiao Shan was defeated by the stupid son-in-law of the Song family. Another spectator shouts that the main character is not stupid and is now one of the most influential people in Chengcheng. One of the spectators raises his hand and shouts that Song Kyu defeated Zhao Shan and he was taught in any way by Chu Chen. The girl in the short skirt calls the young guy from Song the great Nanquan fighter and invincible, and then thanks him for upholding their honor. The guy blushed and told his son-in-law that they called him a great fighter. Chu Chen raises his brother-in-law's hand, and the host announces that the Nanquan fighters have won. That day, the news that Chu Chen and Song Kyu defeated Xiao Shan and upheld the honor of Nanquan spread to every corner of Chengcheng. The main character is shown on the big screen. The girl with the bag calls the main character cool, and the girl with long hair next to her adds that he really is nothing like that. She folds her hands and tells the girl with the bag to look at the second guy. Song passes by Yan, who turns her attention to the big screen with Chu Chen. She crossed her arms and thought with a dissatisfied expression that Chu Chen really defeated Zhao Shan and wonders if he has decided to spite all the influential families of Changcheng. Huan family home. Relatives are sitting at a table in the open air. Huan Yuxiu grits his teeth and asks if he is worthy of becoming the new authority in the city. The head of the Huan family points out that it is ridiculous that Chu Chen has become an influential figure. He says with a serious expression that today a truly influential figure, Huan, should return Yu Cheng. A man in a green jacket and black hair walks through the gate with a girl with silver hair. This is Huan's second grandson, Huan Yuhei, the eldest daughter of the main wife of the Yi family, Yi Yan. The man tells his grandfather and brother that he has returned, and with him is his girlfriend Yi Yan. The girl is welcomed with them. She tells the head of the Huan family that her father Yi Feixuan talks about him often. Huan Zhonghong asks if it's Yi from Yancheng she's talking about. He opened his mouth with a surprised expression and thought that the Yi family of Yancheng was no match for the Zia family, and if Yucheng marries her, he will provide invaluable help to their family. The guy asks his grandfather if he hasn't been feeling well lately, and invites him to let him look at him. He touches the head's hand. The head says that this is an unusual disease and he feels witchcraft. The grandson says that he was completely gone and asks what happened. The head of the Huan family tells his grandson not to worry, because Huan Zion advised him of one person with great abilities. He says that he drank his medicinal tincture and now he is much better. He tells his grandson to be careful and says that his name is Chu Chen and he is from the Song family. Huan Yucheng opened his mouth. Yi Yan asks, isn't Chu Chen stupid? The girl asks her boyfriend if this is the right place. Huan Yucheng helps the girl out of the car and says that he doubts that Chu Chen could conspire with the old man Zion against his case. The girl asks the guy if he thinks it was Chu Chen who did the magic. The guy puts his hand forward and says that if not, then how could such a stupid person recognize witchcraft? The guy opens the door and walks in with his girlfriend. Huan Zion recognizes the guy as the grandson of the Huan family and asks if he came to buy medicine. Huan Yucheng says that of course, their star-scattering sect is not so ancient and true, but not to the same extent as to deal with black sorcerers. The old man asks the young master if he suspects him of involvement in their grandfather's illnesses. The guy clenches his hand into a fist and says that the old man gave himself away. He hits the old man and exclaims that this third-rate sect had the courage to throw dust in the eyes of the head of the Huan family. The old man hits the wall. Huan Yucheng asks if the old man wants to say something before he dies. He grabs the old man's neck as blood pours from his mouth. Huan Zion smiles and says that he saw the fate of the young master and adds that disrespecting the elder ancestors will lead to great trouble, and then advises him to be careful. Huan Yucheng smiles and tells the old man that he is still pretending to be a demigod and asks why he didn't see that he would have problems today. He hits the old man's hand. The old man screams in severe pain. The young master throws Huan Zion to the ground. Huan Yucheng tells the old man to tell Chu Chen that he must come to their house to confess or else his end will be no better. Huan Uyu comes back to the store with a funny red mask in his hand. She looks at Huan with horror Zion, who lies covered in blood. The girl runs up to her grandfather with tears in her eyes. Evening at the Song family's house. Everyone eats at a large table. Chu Chen receives a call and asks who it is. Huan Uyu on the phone tells the main character to help her, because she has no one else to turn to, and she only knows his phone number. The main character recognizes the voice of the girl from the store. She says with tears in her eyes that her grandfather was beaten by someone from the Huan family and her grandfather is about to die. She's sorry to save her grandfather. The main character, with a serious expression on his face, asks if the old man is wounded and says that he will call the doctor now. Song Yan calls the main character's name with concern on his face. Lin Xinping, with a smile on his face, offers his son-in-law a drink to restore their relationship with the Huan family. Zhu sits next to him with the same smile giant. The main character rises from his seat and says that he has an urgent application. He asks you to listen to him first, and then decide whether they want to drink with him or not. Zhu Jian asks the main character what he is trying to say. He says with a gloomy expression that on behalf of Song, he must declare war on the Huan family. Lin Xinping smiles and says that 10 of them do not have enough strength to resist them. Song Yun tells his son-in-law not to joke like that. The main character says that he respects their opinion, but he has already decided everything and adds that he is not only declaring war on them. The main character's eyes glow green. He adds that he will also do everything possible to make their Song family's position in society higher than that of the Huan family. And since he said so, it will be so. A short silence ensues, which is interrupted by Lin Xinping. He says this is absurd. Zhu Jian says that Chu Chen is playing with fire, and they don't want to die with him. The old man closed his eyes and remained silent. He asks the main character what he is going to do this time. He leans on the table and says that tomorrow at 10 a.m. he will officially declare war on the Huan family and is going to turn them into the third-rate family in Chengcheng City. Zhu Jian says that if he does this, the Zhu family will have to break off business relations with them. Lin Xinping says that the Lin family does too. Song Yan asks Chu Chen what's wrong and takes his hand. He replies with a smile on his face that it doesn't matter. With his eyes shining green, he thinks that he will not give peace to the Huan family.